where we left off.
Woo.
Let's fucking
Oh,
go.
That's one more time. Come on, big bucks, no whammies. Almost have everybody. Almost.
I am missing
All but
Kia
Kia.
and Bess.
Yeah,
I got everybody else.
Yeah,
I'm gonna leave mine off because there's just no light in here, so there's really
okay.
no point
So
having it
Okay.
on.
everyone is missing. There's no
Eventually,
Okay,
when
I got
move,
everybody who I
hopefully
can
I'll
have.
light.
Kia. Yeah, I'm just missing Bess really. But
Yep.
Yeah, I can only see Erin, but I can see Erin, so I assume that means she can see
Yes,
me.
I can see you.
At least Erin has
Yay.
it. That's the key.
Mhm. Okay. Well, last time we gathered together, you all infiltrated the offices and underground vault of the Deep Miner Enterprise Mercantile Company, absconding with a significant amount of minted coin from the Dwendalian Empire, what might be almost the entirety of the records of their holdings and property deeds, at least in Port Damali, along with some key information on their involvement with the Dwendalian occupation of the city of Nicodranus. There's also the personal seal of the Marquis of Nicodranus. What it was doing in the vault is up to anyone's guess.
Incredibly sus.
Felice provided cover, and you were in and out of the vault and the offices with seemingly none the wiser, at which point you teleported back to Siren's Call in the back rooms and the abode of Lady Isabeau Dacier, the spellcaster formerly known as Witch Hazel.
Like, just clerical note. When we grabbed all of the stuff in there, I probably gave the bag to someone to put the stuff in because I wasn't actively grabbing things.
Okay. So that is an important clerical note. Who has the bag of holding?
Who wants it? Wiria? I know you usually carry it.
Usually the default until Velas took it for, I don't remember why Velas had it, but he had it for a reason.
It's because I went back and I raided the vault under
Yes,
Garden.
okay. Right.
Yeah. Back to Wiria.
Yeah. And yeah, that would be the logical person to have it.
Okay. When you arrive in the Siren's Call, the back room is not lit, and you can hear a significant amount of commotion out in the main area. It sounds like there's a very, very large crowd of people. Voices, nothing that would provoke some sense of immediate danger or alarm. It's just a large gathering of people, tends to be very loud. But otherwise the room is empty, quiet, and dark.
Disney's busy tonight.
Was she planning to, when we asked her, was she meeting us back here or was...
I don't think we talked to her.
We sent a sending.
Yeah, we were sending.
Yeah. We used sending. We absolutely used sending. We didn't just teleport without warning her.
I didn't remember.
Yeah.
But it was, you did sending, and then you teleported.
I don't think we waited for a reply.
I thought we did get a reply, but I guess maybe I'm misremembering.
Yeah.
I thought we did. I could have sworn we did. Okay.
I don't remember.
The door opens, and the background din kind of rises to a bit of a crescendo as you can hear what has to be well over 100 people filling the Siren's Call. Also, as you get here, you notice that it is exceedingly cold. Now that you're much closer to the water and the epicenter of all of the everything that's going on at Felice.
Right, that's why it's
expanded.
crowded. We told them to. Yeah.
It's warm. It's warm here.
It's warmer
Mhm.
inside than outside.
It's not freezing by any means, but it is much colder
Much
than
colder
you
than they're
are.
used to here.
And you can see Isabeau walking in, sort of bundled up in what looks to be a couple of layers of clothing. And she quickly shuts the door behind you and behind her. I turns to look at all of you. Your message was brief.
Apologies.
What have you discovered? It's been. She kind of like, she seems stressed. There's been a lot going on, and she's a little out of sorts. But she kind of takes a moment to kind of compose herself, and then just waits to hear whatever it is that you're going to share with her.
Well, we did some. Maria sort of looks at the others for a moment. Some looking into the deep miners and
A little bit of thieving.
Yeah.
Brunel's gonna go stand by that door that was closed and just kind of be between it, just in case anyone's come
And
to
then
actually listen.
The deep miners have been busy.
Maria pauses briefly,
Thieving?
looks at Hegan, and then says, "We're alone, right?" She's suspicious from earlier.
Are we alone?
You do not detect or see any scrying magic.
Maria knows enough magic to be like, I am suspicious of anything
Yeah.
right now.
Don't worry, I will tap my glaive if we are not.
Appreciated.
Is it really thieving if they stole it from everyone else, though?
Well,
Technically, yes.
so the deep miners.
I mean, it kind of comes down to a question of morals at that point. I
Perhaps
suspect.
we should explain the situation before we debate the morals of thievery. We have found fairly clear evidence that, or at least reasonably clear evidence, that the deep miners are both involved with the Dwendalian Empire and perhaps with the occupation of Nicodranus.
I'm sorry, what?
We found, and we're sort of.
What is?
Oh, we do have.
But
Yeah.
Show her. Show her.
She's very well spoken, and she seems to be at a loss for words. As
And
this was not at all something that she expected.
Reaches into the bag, and the first thing she pulls out is the seal, because that is the most sort of obvious. This should not be here thing.
Yeah.
Well, we found this in the deep miner's vault, a secret vault.
She, if you're offering it to her, she takes it from you and sort of examines it, and she seems to recognize it and look to you for further explanation.
We also found a significant amount of Dwendalian coin, and I know we found all the deeds and things, but I don't remember if there was anything else that was specifically pointing to the Empire other than the coin.
They had records.
They had records.
Some of the paperwork pointed to it. Yeah.
Yeah, as well as some paperwork, and she pulls out a couple coins. She's not pulling out all the coins we took, and then if she can
That's ours.
if she can fish out some paperwork, some of the paperwork, she'd also pull that out.
So there was property deeds and contracts and things like that, but there wasn't like written correspondence that says that they've been involved in things.
Right, I didn't think so. That's why I wasn't sure. So yeah, she'd pull out some of the coin, more Dwendalian coin than I really would have expected in Port Damali, to be perfectly blunt. And But I
Is-
mean, the
Was
biggest.
this all that you were able to uncover? I mean, coinage of imperial minting isn't necessarily.
Oh, that's
We didn't
Wait.
find anything smoking, if that's what you're
other
asking
than
for.
a seal that really shouldn't be where it is.
Yeah.
She goes over to one of the desks nearby and rifles through for what looks to be a couple of different implements. And she's sort of like nodding her head at you to continue. It looks like she's doing some sort of basic spell on the seal itself.
I mean, Wary's going to look at the others for anything they have to add because she's not the main investigator here. She's good at talking, but isn't necessarily the best at putting every little piece together. And others probably are better than that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we have some other leads to follow anyway.
We found some things in the less secure desks in their main office, but nothing that pointed to the Dwendalian Empire in particular.
The coin was the main Dwendalian connection.
Anything interesting in there?
The other desks, I think, is what you meant.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was not there.
That's fair. Yeah, Alice was downstairs
Money.
during all of that.
That I not the money Elias found was not Dwendalian.
No, it was Clovis Concord minted.
Clovis Concord, yeah.
Money's money.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I took it. We'll figure out.
We
doling it out
have a
later.
lot of.
You're
Someone has a
very
lot of math
rich.
to do, not me.
Yeah, was there any paperwork that had that Nicodratus seal on it, or was it just
No.
the?
It was just like the it's
physical
so
seal.
these sorts of seals are
Right,
they're
no,
often
yeah.
in like
Yeah.
very ornately designed and crafted and that sort of thing. She
Right.
finishes with the spell and she says, "This is authentic, as far as I can tell." But it's thin evidence, and if it was retrieved, as you say, by thieving, what's to say that it belonged to them or was within their possession? Be a difficult.
Well, it was within a secret,
Accusation.
heavily trapped basement.
I think what she's saying is we can't exactly take that to court.
Yeah, no,
that's
she's
fair.
correct.
Is not admissible
I
in
think
court.
our main reason for bringing this to you and Wary looks at the others is if what we suspect from all of this is true, this could matter significantly for the future of Port Damali. I realize that perhaps you can't.
For all the settlements in
You can't just go to
Measure Coast.
into court with that evidence, but it is.
You said you had further leads that you could explore.
A little.
The Concord meets in just a few days. If you believe the deep miners are somehow involved in what's going on, it could be that is part of their ploy. They may make some sort of move at Conclave.
I'd bet both my daggers that they're planning to.
It is attended by all of the leaders of the signatory cities of the Clovis Concord, but there will be many others in attendance, if not for all of the closed-door sessions, mostly for the fact that the Conclave hasn't been called in quite some time. If there's anyone who wields any amount of power, they're going to want to be at least in the vicinity. And Agatha and her clan have had the ear of the Marquess for quite some time. Will undoubtedly be there as well. If you can bring any further evidence that you can uncover, I am sure that would be an appropriate place to perhaps dethrone them from their place of privilege in the Cusses and the greater gentry's estimation.
I would love to see.
Um,
Well then, I think that sounds like our next step is follow those leads and
God, imprisoning children.
That too.
children.
an innocence, yes, but there was a. And she pauses for a moment and looks at Elias and waits to see if Elias is okay with her proceeding.
I mean, if we can find a way to get Callie
There was
out
a
without
girl,
busting
Callie-
down, because I will stage a prison break if it comes down to it. I'm just.
There's a girl. Let me explain. There is a girl. She was from the Temple of the Raven Queen. She went to investigate
She was
the
messing around with
fallen
the
airship because she was curious
Ooh.
about it.
Yes,
And
that is.
she was arrested as a collaborator with the Tossers, I believe, which is its own can of very large worms that I will not get into right now. And the level of like stress and Wirio when she says that particular sentence is really evident.
Pernell, you can hear some quick footsteps coming down the hallway towards the door.
Oh. Someone's coming. I'm going to look to Isabeau.
It should only be Serene. So the door opens.
Let's step out of the way.
Moments later. Yes, it's her. And she's sort of like taken aback by her room being filled with people. She knows you all, but it's still sort of, she expected one person and found 8.
We have an apologetic look.
Who is this?
Yeah.
Who is it?
The
She's
This
the
is
one who
the-
runs the.
The owner of the brothel, right?
Right.
The brothel.
Mhm.
Yes.
When were we here before?
Yes.
Yes,
Mhm.
we didn't, but she didn't know we were in that building. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A while back, when you first got back to town, you came here.
Okay.
And
That's right. Now I remember. Yeah.
Dalton is staying back towards the edge of the room, kind of in the shadows, because he
Lurking in
is
the shadows.
the odd man out here.
He's new.
It's like, I'm just gonna make myself unobtrusive.
I'm
Yeah.
just here in this
Mind
brothel.
me.
Nothing.
Nothing untoward happening here.
Yeah. She's similarly dressed warmly and is sort of in a hurried and harried state. She kind of like motions for Isabeau. She's a suspect of the lot of you, and trusts you only as much as Isabeau says that you're okay. Isabeau urges you to do whatever else that you can. The conclave will meet in some days. I think it's like 2 days, 2 or 3 days. I'd have to double check the calendar.
It's
again.
2 or 3 days at this.
It's 2 or 3 days, so you still have some time. But before you go, if there might be anything that you know about what's happening in the city, there are many people who have taken shelter and are still very unused to sudden cold.
Should
Fort
clear
Damali
up by
is
morning.
fairly tropical morning. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
It'll get better
It won't
quickly.
last. Yeah.
This should be great for business here, really. People wanting to warm up.
I take it then that you know of what is transpiring.
In a general sense.
Yes. Serena kind of doesn't really respond to the good for business remark.
Oh, that was out of character. Purnell would not
Oh, okay.
say that.
Gotcha.
You're on campaign for that.
Yeah.
The siren's call is while it is a brothel, it is more along the lines of like Firefly companion style establishment. They make a significant amount of money, and not and have to maintain a certain kind of presentation because they're constantly being hounded, but because they set up shop in the middle of basically the temple district, kind of intentionally. But Isabeau kind of gives a nod to you all.
We will see what we can find.
We have a back door we can leave by,
Unless
so
we
we
want
don't
to go,
cause a stir through a bunch of people who didn't see us come in.
unless we want to go straight to our next destination. Look at Egan.
We can. Easy.
That might be the best
Yeah.
thought, unless we need to.
Maybe we should talk
I
about
have to
that
imagine
first.
Yeah.
this many people piling out of one room in a brothel would also cause some
I don't think anyone
I
would
don't
notice.
think
The,
that they
the
would.
That's
crowd
fair, there is a
is
lot going on.
significant. And the
Fine.
Serena's quarters are somewhat private. People aren't really paying attention to who is coming and going. Most of the folks are simply just trying to stay warm and find a meal.
Understandable.
We've encountered some resistance from some of the watch trying to bring more people in. We're doing what we can. If Isabeau kind of like looks at Serena, Elias, you can definitely tell. There's,
I mean, I probably can too.
Yeah.
There's sort of like a
super high
a very quick exchange going between them, sort of like, is it okay? Serena's like, no, it's definitely not okay. And Isabeau is just sort of responds with, you should be fine just leaving leaving out through the corridor if you have some other means, if you want to depart that way. If there was a secret exit, she's not inclined to tell you how to use it.
That's fair. I can understand why she wouldn't be. Just as a general.
I know it's not much, but we brought it to you because, honestly, I don't think we have anyone else to trust here.
I appreciate your candidness.
Because-
I would like to believe that I have the people's interests at heart. I feel that you do too, considering your actions.
We certainly try. We'll see what we can find. I think it looks at Bellis. Bellis had some ideas for where to go next, it sounded like, so figure that out and hopefully be able to gather enough to be of use.
The sound of conversation, of commotion rises up a bit, and Serena kind of looks again, Izzy, and is urging her to leave, and she just sort of like, yes, keep me informed. Elias, you have yes, okay.
Yeah, I got you.
She seems very she wants to continue, but she's needed elsewhere and is kind of stuck between two conflicting priorities.
We'll let you know if we find anything else.
And they shut the door. There's like a candle, kind of one of those like long not tapered candles, the kind that you leave lit for a really long time for low level light. So it's not completely pitch
candle?
black when she leaves.
Is that
Hmm?
the word you're looking for? A pillar candle?
Yeah.
Is that the word you're looking
That kind of
for? Me and my I like candles.
a big candle that burns for a long time.
Yes.
And just slowly
So
melts. Yeah.
you're all left in a little bit of candlelight as she closes the door and leaves.
Well, that could have been better or worse.
Honestly, we didn't find anything that they could make much use of
Yeah.
yet, so I
But
don't know how much I expected.
yeah, no, for sure. But good for her to know, if nothing else.
Yeah.
All right.
So what next?
So we have a couple days.
Yes.
I think it's 2 sleeps.
Okay.
Oh, let me
Oh,
go
like,
back.
what time is
double
it
check that.
at this point?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's in the evening on this day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
Yeah,
was
night.
in the
you
evening
left
when we snuck in.
in the
so.
evening. You were there for probably like hour, 2
I had
hours.
It, yeah,
So
I had it marked. How many hours
Yeah.
was that? Where did that go?
wait, that's game calendar. Okay.
Yeah, it had been 2 hours by the time you left. I had
Yeah.
2
So it's just a
hours
matter
marked
of
off.
is it the day after tomorrow, or is it 2 days from tomorrow? Right.
Right. I'm pretty sure. I'm just gonna say it will be. So it's happening on Friday. It is Tuesday night.
Okay.
There
We'll
we
just
go.
say that. Keep it
That
simple.
helps.
We've got 2 sort of full days.
Right.
Sounds good.
So what are our next steps, I guess, is the question.
You mentioned you had more leads regarding this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a little bit, right? Elias, you asked Nundra, and one of the deep miners was in Fandolin.
Yeah.
That
Candle and
I wouldn't
know.
mind knowing what they're doing there. And
Yeah.
honestly, even if we don't find anything, I don't hate the idea of going back to where glass stuff came
Yeah.
from.
The first time he died.
Yeah.
This glass stuff person, you also mentioned that they were opening rifts throughout the town. Should we maybe
We should definitely at least tell someone about that. Yeah.
try and, it seems like
I
we're
don't
the
know.
ones, or, well, not me, I guess, but our group is responsible for chasing him throughout the town. If that's what caused them, perhaps we should try and make sure that doesn't become a bigger problem as well.
Can we really close all of them ourselves?
If you all
I
want to
don't
do
know.
something about that, I'm not inclined to stick my nose into it.
I just don't think it's.
I mean, I
I
can
don't think we should
try and
forget. I
close
I
up a couple
don't
of them,
know
but
where they are, how many, how big.
my track
I
record
can't
with
say.
closing rifts is not great.
Trying to
I
remember,
mean,
did we
there-
talk to the
I
people
mean,
at the
did
temple
we-
about that?
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah. Did we?
I feel like you guys did give them a heads up.
It would have been you guys, because I don't think I think it was only
Yeah.
like
I was trying to
know
remember.
I remember going to the temple, like giving them a
Yeah.
heads up about the coal. I imagine we probably would have given them a heads up about the rifts too.
The Shadowfell.
The Shadowfell rift.
open,
Yeah,
like,
Shadowfell
yeah.
Rift.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Tell the Temple of the Raven.
Surprise. Yeah.
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 I
Mama's
feel like
coming.
that conversation happened.
I feel like if it didn't happen, it's because out of character we just forgot about it.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why I brought it up, because I, out of character, just remembered, and I was like, right, we haven't done anything with those. Maybe we should not forget those.
And along those lines, what you know is that, kind of recapping and encapsulating everything having to do with said riffs, the quartermaster said absolutely under no circumstances teleport with the thing that he sent you to go get.
Yeah.
And Yarno teleported and teleported and teleported and teleported. And each time the rifts got progressively worse. So there were multiple ones leaving a trail from the docks up through Port Damali to where the airship dock was. whoever it was that followed the retinue that was bringing
That was me.
Shayna.
Okay,
Yeah, you saw will-o-wisps, which, as I think you actually encountered some of those in the Shadowfell before. Those are not typical creatures found in Port Damali. So there's definitely been some amount of incursion.
I feel like you guys told the temple. I feel like
I-
you didn't.
Mm.
As I said, I feel like if you didn't, it was because out of character
Mhm.
you didn't think about it,
Yeah.
as opposed to in
Right.
character you wouldn't
In
have done
character,
it.
yeah.
We'll say that you probably did.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
because
that
there's been
feels
so
like
much
a-
gap, it's hard
yeah.
to.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can hand wave that.
Whether it is the temple, it is perhaps a message to the quartermaster. If we could get one.
I mean, I assume wasn't he leaving?
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah.
He's
Yes,
long
but
gone.
He has
perhaps he has more
departed.
information in particular since he's told us against that. But it was not our fault that.
I wouldn't mind knowing what exactly that thing
Yeah.
was.
Yes.
Just be
And
like,
if anyone
"So
would know, it is
why
most probably him.
specifically did you say not
I
to
mean,
teleport with this? Because,
To know, we
could-
did not, but someone
We
else
didn't.
did.
but
But an asshole did.
an asshole made.
One more reason he's an asshole.
Especially because
Yeah.
there are so many different parties that seem to have an interest in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we could just do a sending to the quartermaster.
Yeah.
That's an option. Do we? I guess the question is, it sounds like Fandolin is our best next
Yeah.
lead. Is there anything
Counts.
with the rifts or any of this that we think we can and should do before we go? And if so, we should get that done tonight if we can.
I
we're
can
we can be
Well,
up
it's
front
not
in the
exactly
morning?
friendly weather out there on top of whatever influence the rifts are having on the area.
Elephane, she's not a powerful spellcaster by any stretch of the imagination, but there are rituals and stuff that can be cast for minor types of things to help put spirits and such to rest. So far from what you've encountered, it's only been vaguely incorporeal things that have slipped through. Nothing larger or physical.
So they should be able to keep it contained,
contained
until we
until
do
we-
something about
I
it.
mean,
There hasn't been evidence of, other than just everything being kind of gloomy and foggy beyond the normal and some will-o-wisps, there hasn't been evidence of like a heavy incursion of
closed the big
undead
rift.
things.
Yeah, we closed the one that had the shadow dragon trying to get
this
out of
is
it.
like partially in character, but also just partially out of character. I guess the out of character is just so the first rift, like when we first
Hey,
met
guys,
up
how you
with
doing?
Leah, we closed a rift to the plane of fire, and that was just a whole bunch of dispel magic, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that in mind, Leah will just your friend Felice, the small one that is doing this right now.
The small violent one?
Feisty.
Feisty, yeah, that's it.
She helped us, well, along with the rest of you, close the rift to the plane of fire when I first met you all. If she is going to be here, perhaps she might be able to also help with that.
Not a
That-
bad idea.
We could definitely ask her to help with that.
If you send her a message, Felice is totally not leaving the town. She'll do that.
The Ashari happen to have a knack for, interplanar
Yeah,
incursions
right.
and risks,
Hey.
strangely enough.
Wait a sec, Felice can do that too.
Then perhaps we
Yeah.
touch base with
Give
Felice.
her-
She perhaps could work with Elephane behind the scenes while everyone else goes to
Yeah.
Phandalin so
Yeah,
that
could.
Bess doesn't have to play two characters in Phandalin.
Well, and I would say, because Felice is a seal right now, so I don't know how much she could even actually respond to a sending. I forget. She can totally get one.
I mean, it's mental, so
psychic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you
Yeah, so
wouldn't
her
get
brain
a
is there.
back. But yeah, if you do send her a message, my plan always was basically Felice feels responsible for a lot of this, so she's not leaving town until it is resolved, basically.
Yeah.
So I was never planning to take her to Phandalin, basically.
Yeah, I remember you
yes.
mentioning that she was going to stay until.
Yeah, she will stay and she can babysit, make sure the rifts don't open, and
Yeah.
Okay.
Do her
do
a
all that
Shari
behind the
thing.
scenes. Yeah, do her a Shari thing.
All right.
So
Well,
we
then, yeah.
let her know, and then do we head
Yep.
on tonight, or?
I mean, I think if we can get there tonight, then we can find a place to rest and
Look in the morning.
be ready to go in the morning.
Maybe not tip off that what's his face, Steve Miner, that we're there.
So perhaps
I'd
we can-
prefer, if we are going there, I'll just say I don't like the idea of heading into Empire territory, and I'm not really invested in this little deep miner thing. I signed on with you guys to help you out with this lich as a favor for a favor. If there are leads for the lich there, I'll go along, but I prefer we keep our presence known to a minimum.
I mean, we can always take a nap outside town.
Yeah, I was
It's
gonna say,
not
maybe
like
we
it's a
just
hostile
camp.
area.
Hegan's fairly familiar with the environment, actually. He spent quite a significant amount of time there after you all left.
With the druid, so yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Sounds like a plan to me.
The start
I
of
mean,
something.
Out of character, Phandalin is still, it's not in the Empire. It's just.
But it is under Empire control currently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
At least
I believe
for right now.
I've switched the map to or the current active thing that should be visible.
Right.
And
Yeah, I see it.
It's Menagerie Coast map.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
I have finally placed Phandalin
Look at that.
in its my canon version of the Menagerie Coast. It just so happens to be right there.
I don't see it. Am I?
It's over
Down
here.
towards the
It's
bottom
Right
right.
under the Wuyan Gorge.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I see.
Very close.
It
to
took me a
my
minute to
brain
find it.
map was all mixed around and backwards. We're not even going to comment on how Nicodranus and Phandalin were not even close to where they were in my brain. Was north, Nicodranus was northeast, and Phandalin was Nicodranus was northwest, like way that way,
brain was
and
just not
Phandalin
how-
was northeast. So that's a fun thing. I thought nothing was south of Port Tamale. Port Tamale was at the bottom. I see. I stand corrected, I guess.
Actually, other than
great big world.
Warden, Port Tamale's one of the most northwest.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is
Home
North,
like
and then Gordon's
the most
more north.
northwest of everything, though. So
All right. So, Hegan, in terms of the region, you probably spent most of the time with Rydoth, the orc druid. He basically lives in a what amounts to a cave near Thunder Tree.
Glad to hear.
And he was mostly kind of keeping an eye on the young green dragon that was there.
I remember that guy. He was a squirrel.
He was a squirrel, yes.
He was the first druid we met as a squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh my
He was
god.
the first druid that you met as a
But
squirrel.
not the last.
Oh, the
No,
throwbacks.
never.
Also, he taught Hegan how to turn into squirrels.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Or disgruntled
chipmunks.
weasels.
Yeah, weasels.
Yes, or very disgruntled weasels.
So that's I mean, if the thing about that particular location is that it is a couple of days away from Phandalin. You've never been to Wave Echo Cave, so you're not sure of that environment. That is about a day or so, a little bit less than a day. Once you know the route, it is sort of a tricky path through the mountains. Otherwise, you're familiar with the town of Phandalin itself, but not knowing what to expect, I don't know what your plans would be to teleport straight there.
We could just.
I mean, I assume we like teleport somewhere out,
teleport
like
right
outside of
outside of
Phandalin that
town?
we've
Yeah.
been in before.
Like
Yeah.
half a mile
Right.
outside
Yeah.
of town.
No, that's
in like the
doable.
woods there or something. Because it looks like there's forest right there.
Yeah. It's
Camp
not
in
as
the woods.
okay.
Into the woods we go again.
All right. So then is the plan to teleport to the vicinity, a ways away, a mile or so, just enough so
Camp out
that
tonight.
Yeah.
and camp
Yeah.
out. Okay.
I think unless there's an objection, I think that's the plan.
That
Yeah.
sounds fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I got the
All right then.
And we'll
Um,
one of us
scope
will
out the
send a,
situation there.
one of us will cast sending to Felice.
Mhm.
Okay.
I think both
Yeah.
Weary and Elias have it available right now. So
Yeah.
Okay. How many charges you got left on the helm there, Keegan?
Hang out. Because I feel like we might have used it on a day that I wasn't here.
well, it recharges.
It also
every 7 minutes.
recharges
Yeah.
every long rest. So
Yeah, we've had a few things. So I think it would be fully charged. We haven't really used it.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
you've
Okay.
well, this will be the second use
Here.
today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, we came here. So yeah, it would be. I think isn't it 3 charges that I have?
It
Yeah,
has 3
3 max.
charges, and it would have been at max. It had been a few days, since, at least a couple days since we'd last teleported.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So after landing in Phandalin, you have 1 charge,
Yes.
and you can roll 1d3. In
When we wake up.
when you take your long rest. So is there anything that you want to do before you leave town, or is it you're ready to go?
It sounds like we were just going to message Felice, let
Message
her
Felice?
know
Let
what we're
Felice
doing.
know what the plan is.
Okay.
And
Yeah, and it's up to
so-
it's up
And
to you,
ask if
Meg,
she
or
can look
Elias
into the
or
rifts.
Isaac, and
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
us can do it. I have
Yeah.
it too. So
And
She can
Felice
connect with Elephant.
was
yeah.
yeah, I was like Felice was involved in that whole chase, so she would have at least some memory of
The
Mhm.
rough
like
vicinity.
where they were and stuff
Yeah.
and what
Yeah.
they looked like, and so yeah,
Mhm.
she's probably as well equipped as anybody actually to try and deal with that.
Okay.
I'm just gonna swap
So,
a
yeah,
spell
I
in
don't
the
know.
morning, but right now I'm good.
So, yeah,
All
I
right,
mean, that's
so
good.
you
Anything else
all-
wanted to pick up?
You contact Felice, inform her of the plan. She is going to meet up with Elephane, and they're going to begin investigating and trying to deal with rift stuff, and we'll have that behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Landing in Phandalin is just a whoosh and a zart and a moment of blackness, and then you're in
Shit.
a lightly forested. It's a shock going from a very chilly, very sea tinged environment to a much warmer, much greener, much more lush and sort of not pine smelling, but it definitely smells like green and fresh air and mountains out here. It is a clear night. There are no clouds in the sky. You just have some stars. No moon out at the moment, so it's very dark. But other than the sounds of crunching underbrush and all of the various rattling of your tools, equipment, and weapons, the forest around you has gone silent as all of you appear out of nowhere, and everything quickly leaves, panics, or hides. And Keegan, you know that Phandalin is about a mile to the west.
A short walk, all things considered.
Yeah. All right.
Let's camp.
Everybody have all their
Let's camp.
limbs.
All
No
right.
business
Gonna
doing
do
anything.
something probably pointless and just reflexively
Oh, do your...
I
Do the
wasn't expecting
thing.
that to pop.
The thing
If
that
they
my
are-
brain is not wordsing.
The seeing if
your
there are
ranger
aberrations.
thing?
Primeval awareness.
Primeval
Yeah.
awareness.
That's the thing.
I think we've
Oh,
also
yeah,
got
I was gonna
Dark
say
Oh
like
my
yeah,
God.
if Fels is doing that, I like Darlton as we're setting up camp, pops out the wand, detect evil and good, and just does like a perimeter just to,
Sure.
as
Just-
it's an ingrained habit.
Yeah,
Okay.
I fully expect not to find anything, but yeah, habit. It's been a minute since we've been out of town.
I feel
All
like
right,
Leah
what is your
will help
primeval
build
awareness
whatever
sense
camp
again,
and just
besides
kind of chuckle
aberrations?
at the sight
Just
of those two.
aberrations. Mine
Okay.
is UA, so it's just aberrations
Right.
within like a stupid distance.
The longer that you concentrate, the wider the radius becomes.
Yeah.
I would say that you probably pick up
5 miles.
this like the slightest like ping of something, but it's far to the far underground, and kind of deeper in the mountains. But it's nothing that would be in the vicinity of Phandalin.
That's good.
Waria will, while Velis is doing that, cast the dome because we can.
Oh my God!
It's been a while.
Dome.
Yep.
All right.
I
So
should take first watch.
Okay.
That's useful.
Where you play some music?
I will absolutely stay up on first watch because he's
Okay.
not going to relax until he's certain there was no Empire influence that is, or like forces that are nearby that are going to notice them.
Okay. Go ahead and so whoever's on first watch, go ahead and make wisdom perception checks.
Okay.
I'm assuming you're not like lighting a fire or anything.
No, I think we were just.
I've got my-
attempting
I
to
mean,
be-
does
I got
the
my
dome
goggles.
conceal it?
well,
we don't really need a fire
technically
inside
it
the dome
would.
because it's
Yeah.
temperature controlled.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
It
dome
is
doesn't
temperature
have
controlled.
fire. Waria can
dome
control the
comes in
temperature and the light. Like,
Yeah.
Heat and central heating and air.
Yep.
Eight.
So unless
16.
someone needs light to see for watch, there's probably no light. And I think we've got the goggles, so
Yeah.
that can both be
Yeah.
passed
Oh right,
around.
yeah, I have
So-
those. I don't know why I rolled with this. I'm gonna roll again. It's a little higher. Dirty 20.
Okay.
Been a while.
You're right.
So the evening is completely uneventful. It's peaceful. You, Darlton, feel about as far away from the ocean as you've been in a very long time.
It's a weird kind of relaxed that he's not near the sea anymore, but on edge because he's closer to the Empire.
Yes. You are,
This is
for all
bad.
intents and purposes, you are on the Empire's doorstep. Metaphorically,
Definitely like
geographically
So
speaking.
even keel.
Just
We've
traded one
replaced
anxiety for
problem
another.
with
Yeah, it's otherwise very, very quiet. I mean, there's definitely various nocturnal wildlife, but there are no undead creatures. There don't seem to be any soldiers or anything else of that would be beyond what you might encounter in some woods at night. Who is going to be taking second watch?
I will.
I guess I
Okay.
can too.
All right.
2 and 2 on.
All right, go ahead and make wisdom perception checks as you keep an eye out for goings on.
Assume Purnell would give Elias the goggles for watch.
Yeah, that's
I
normal.
mean, I could also trade
Yeah.
light if needed, but
Right, but then you don't have to
19.
light anything up. And
Use two anxious people in the party and also passing off goggles. That's a normal
Sure.
camp again.
Uh-huh.
19.
okay.
Okay.
Perception, that is 17. Oh wait, I have advantage on perception.
Ooh.
Do
Yeah,
I still
your
get that
shield.
with the goggles?
Shield.
Um,
Or
Yeah,
does
the
that
goggles just take away the
take
Disadvantage.
from dark. So,
but if you already had
I had advantage, so it would have been an even.
Right.
Well, no. Do the goggles give advantage?
No, my shield.
It really doesn't matter because Elias wouldn't see anything anyways. Because the only thing that is visible is invisible, and Hegan's the only person that can see it.
That's true.
Cool.
Oh no.
So
oh no.
probably I would say
He's blind fighting though.
just before dawn.
Yeah, but he's not fighting yet.
You can
I
just
can't actually see stuff with my blind fighting. But
see the just the slightest hint of light coming up over the eastern horizon when you notice another scrying sensor. Hegan.
Taps his glaive a couple times.
Elias is the only one awake for it, but although I might imagine Pernell might be waking up at this point.
Yeah, she's really the taps like.
If it's the end of their watch, Velis is probably close to getting up after 4 hours.
Leah would. I'm assuming, is there a third watch that would happen? Isn't there normally 3 watches in a night?
Usually.
That's what I thought.
So this would be from beginning of the third watch.
Yeah.
So right before Hegan would be going to sleep is sort of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was going to say Leah would volunteer for third watch because she can get up and
me and you
do morning
Hegan's going to use the glaive tapping to make it look like he's just trying to wake them up.
Uh-huh.
He's just gonna go tap it by Velis's head.
Tap, tap, tap. Just stares at Velis.
Just staring
Stare
at
until
Velis
you
tapping
understand.
on the ground.
And I think
It's looming.
His head till he wakes up.
No,
Yeah.
Velis is just like.
Oh.
Velis is very quiet.
Very quiet. Well,
you can't hear through the dome.
It's a very, very quiet fuck. Sit up. Just nod at Hegan. And anything.
Well, magic can't get through the dome at least.
That's true.
That's true.
Where is
also wake up to that and just kind of glance at Velis and
the sensor's basically straight up over the middle of the dome.
Okay. So whoever's scrying on us is just watching the dome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to make it within 10 feet, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that.
What?
That's the eternal rogue mood. Morning.
Good to see you awake.
Knowing that the dome hides everything, Velis is just.
I can't see. I don't know what's happening.
He's flicking it off.
Flipping everything off.
Just double birds.
360 birds.
360 birds.
360 double.
Summoning.
And just spins in a full circle.
Yes, that is exactly what happens.
I learned from Pernell. You gotta do the spin.
Yeah.
Seems somebody still finds this interesting.
I mean, I didn't expect them to stop.
No, a guy can dream.
So I forget. Did we determine if Hegan is able to direct somebody? Are we able to dispel it even if we can't see it? If we aim it the right way?
We did that before, I think.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
And we dispel.
Remember that magic can't be cast through the dome, though.
Yeah.
Outside the dome.
Outside the dome with Hegan and just go, Hegan, where was that early morning constellation you were telling me about?
Let me see if I can remember. He makes a show of trying to put himself like back where he was and like looking and then
Make a deception check,
yeah.
Keegan.
Deceive the scry.
stuff I have to turn my flashlight on. Hang on, one moment.
Apparently, it's very dark in your place.
Well, because with the light doesn't do much for me anyway, so I'm like, oh well, let's just turn it off. I have a headache. Oh well.
About to say, can I use guidance? But
I mean, they went outside the dome.
they went out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a
Little-
7.
Okay. You're like, it was over there. You're sort of pointing in the general direction of the sensor. I mean, it's you've already had conversations about detecting it, and I think you've already canceled it once. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
whoever's behind it is probably not going to be fooled by some attempt for some surreptitious like, I know that you know that I know that
I know
you
that
know
you
that.
The constellation. What about full moon at this point?
You probably need like Leah or Velis or Wiria level
That's the
charisma to
next-
pull
the
off
next
that
step.
deception.
Somebody,
Yeah.
somebody just moon the
Yeah.
sensor, please.
Moon the sensor and then dispel it.
You don't even need to. Just moon it the entire 10 minutes. Make them use.
Wherever Hegan points, Leah will reach up and.
It just
act as
becomes
if she's
funnier when it
tracing a star
becomes
pattern.
evident it's not an Essa.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so great. She will act as though she's tracing a star pattern, and she will just, I see. The Wild Mother's beauty is in the sky at all times, and just.
Just as good at deception.
You know what? Charisma's a lot better. Actually, I don't know what Hegan's charisma is, so maybe she's not great at deception, though. She's just good at charisma.
It's just like the finger.
Everyone's just
like,
overacting outside and
most
just.
wooden, overacted high school play.
Tank.
What in the 9 hells is going on out there?
Constellations, the Wild Mother.
Theater, apparently.
People aren't trying to still sleep.
Interpretive dance. Leave me alone.
Shakespeare in the Park.
we probably, at this point, we probably need either at least Wiria level or possibly
What is a
Velis level
Shakespeare?
deception.
I don't even know at this point if that would do it.
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
Go ahead
At
and
this
make
point,
a
you can
spellcraft
dispel it
check
by flipping
to
it
dispel
off.
it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Or not detect magic. Whoops, did I click
Dispel
that?
magic?
Wait, do I not have dispel prepared?
I
If you
know.
don't, then Elias
I
was
do.
still awake and could have done it.
Hang on.
I am.
I don't
I
understand
am
why
still
people
up,
want
I
to use
can
the
do
spell
it.
slot.
Well,
I'm
so
enjoying
part of it was okay. No. Oh no, I do have it prepared. I clicked on the wrong thing. I was like, I thought I had it prepared.
I was about to say I do have it
Clicked
prepared.
on
I
detect
think.
I
instead of
do love the
dispel,
idea
but
of Leah
dispel
going out to
is
do
in
it,
there.
realizing she can, and then has to trudge back into the dome. It's out.
Tag Elias
It
in.
really was just
There
an
you go.
interpretive dance.
So just is that just a wisdom check?
Wisdom plus so it's basically
It's your
it's your
spellcasting
spellcasting.
modifier, so it's a
Charisma,
charisma
yeah,
check.
charisma.
Charisma
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
It is charisma, isn't it? Ha!
Yeah.
Right. I know how to play a paladin.
That's gonna be my
You're
move.
so used to wisdom-based spellcasting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
That I play is wisdom based. I'm telling you, man. What? So is it? So
It's just a d20 plus your charisma.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm too lazy to pull out my real dice, and also I forgot. I was like, right, I can roll real dice too.
Yes.
I'm
Nope.
so used to doing it on the computer. It's been so long. So we'll just, it's that. I mean, I could get my real dice. They're right behind me, but we can go with
It was a
yellow.
lot of theater, Hegan, but unfortunately, it didn't seem to affect the the thing. Although
Seems like, look, I'm tired. I signed up all that.
there's a couple of beats, and then it just disappears.
Hey, it worked.
I don't know if it was you, but it's gone.
I don't know.
It seems like it was like there was latency.
Yeah, I think there's a little lag going on there.
Also just as bad at acting. It's like, oh shit.
I would really like to know who's on the other side of that.
No way to figure that out that I know of. Looks at Hegan, like, right? Kind of like, unless you can tell somehow.
No. Fortunately not.
I'm up. You guys get some sleep.
I want to change up my spell.
All right.
Swap a
It'd be funny if it
spell.
was just serum. Just like giving it
That's
out
to
people.
me.
So, those of you who are kind of keeping a final watch as the sun comes up and the land begins to awake, don't need to make a perception check. You can see, because it's such a nice, clear day, and east is a little bit higher elevation than west, what look to be a number of plumes of black smoke begin to rise up. Look like from there, you can see them far in the distance, but they're not like things that are burning, but more like from forges and industry, more so than like a burning house. A burning house or something like that, it would be a much different kind of fire. But it looks like now that the day has begun, you can begin to see a few plumes rising up.
Well, that's new.
Concerning.
In the direction of
Phandalin.
Phandalin, yeah. It was
Yeah.
Leah that was up, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Is that not typical for here?
Not really. It's a small town. It's a farming town.
Do you think it is whatever this empire's influence that you
Ugh.
mentioned?
I'm pretty fucking certain of it. But
What is this empire? I've heard you all speak of it, but
that's
honestly, the word is a bit foreign to me.
that's complicated. So it's there's a region to the north that's kind of all under the domain of one king. Big area. He's got major cities under his control. They've got their own unique ideas about what they do and don't allow there. It's all pretty uniform, I guess. I mean, just kind of. I don't even know how to explain it to you, honestly.
Everyone is expected to act in a similar fashion?
Kind of, yeah. But in the whole region, there are approved deities for worship, and
Leah definitely kind of like leans back and raises an eyebrow a bit at that of just like, what?
Of which the Wild Mother is not one of
Is
them.
not, yeah.
No.
Actually, yeah, neither of us
No,
currently
and then,
follow an approved deity.
like,
Mm-mm.
decked out, like, I mean, she doesn't have like Wild Mother like paraphernalia, but like,
yeah, actually,
she's
Velos
a
would
T-shirt
say,
that
walking,
would
breathing
say-
Wild Mother shrine, basically.
what
kind
would
of-
the mild mother do? T-shirt.
point point to her, and honestly, they wouldn't be too much a fan if they knew who you followed.
I see. I will do my best to be discreet in my.
It's you're fine these outskirt towns, but closer you get to the heart of the empire, the more they kind of have it stick up their ass about these things.
I mean, in their defense, a bunch of religious zealots took over the government at one point and then tried to make everyone believe a certain thing.
Yeah.
So it's less that they're zealous about what other people believe and more like it's just super highly regulated.
Yeah.
But they don't proselytize and say you must believe these things. It's
Well,
more
yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah.
You're
It's
just
more
not
you're
allowed to
not allowed
believe
to
these
worship
other
these
things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it really any better?
We don't
No.
care what you believe as long as you don't believe these things.
Yes, that's
As long as you don't
Just like
do worshipy
Do
things, you
worshipy
can
things.
believe what you
Yeah.
want, but you can't, go do services or
Yeah.
build temples to these particular deities, etc., etc.
It's not a terrible place, honestly. It's just people living their lives, but
But are they living their lives if they aren't really making those choices for themselves?
you can't control. Thing about empires, they're a little too big to control every corner. But that said, someone like me can't exactly walk out in the open in an empire city. Actually, I probably shouldn't look like this if we're going into Phandalin, just in case.
Side
What is
Fury
wrong
is
with
going
how
to
you
give me her
look?
hat of disguise when we wake up. She just hadn't thought about it last night.
Drow are particularly not welcome around here.
Seems odd to judge an entire race on the surface level, but from what you said, I guess they seem to make a lot of judgment calls before meeting people.
They do that. So, honestly, I don't remember how much we've told you, but aside from the king, there's a faction of powerful mages in Rexentrum that also hold power. It's 50-50 which of them is really in charge at any given time, but they kind of share the influence, I guess.
From your tone, I take it these are not exactly friendly mages.
Oh, as long as you're useful.
I see.
I was
And
useful up until the point that I wasn't, at which point they called me a Kreen spy and threw me into a jail cell.
Well, that seems extreme, but
And that's why you don't want to be a drow in the Empire.
I see.
For the record, I've never been anywhere near anything Kreen, so like you said, a lot of judgment calls.
Certainly do not seem like pleasant people, so I can understand why their influence would be worrying.
Mm. The people are fine. It's anyone in a position of authority that you want to watch out for. Or anyone who thinks they have a position of authority, honestly.
Well, I'll be honest, I'm not sure how useful I am in all of these governmental types of investigations, but
Good eye, though. You don't have to really understand the inner workings of empire politics to find something useful.
that's true.
Anyway, we might not turn up anything. I think it's too early to say. But I don't know. If you end up anywhere around the Empire, just keep on your toes and don't show 'em your holy symbol. You should be fine.
Looks down at her armor, which it's like kind of engraved into, and she's just like, starts
We
picking
should
up
get
some
you a
moss
cloak.
and flowers and is just like
Patting it off.
because it's kind of engraved into her armor. It's like,
Yeah,
And
let's.
it's gonna stick this
I
on.
see moss.
We could also just get you a cloak.
Maybe that might not be a bad idea. Might not be a
I
bad
like
Yeah.
the idea that Elias wakes up and that's the first thing he says to Leah.
She's like
She's
trying to
cloak.
stick
Some
moss to her
moss and
armor.
things and like weave some like flowers together into some vine.
Would you like a
As
cloak?
people start to wake up, Wiria's going to be like, oh, wait, Empire, and take the hat and just sort of like offer it to Velis.
Thank you. I will put that on.
If we go back to when we go back to Port Tamale, I may need to borrow it again, but I don't really need it here, I don't think.
You know, I've missed. I'm just looking at the hat. I've missed not having to worry about looking like myself.
I wish none of us ever had to worry about looking like ourselves, to be perfectly honest.
Put the hat on and basically Guardian palette swap.
Right?
Elias is just gonna stick his holy symbol down his shirt.
That's not what I thought you were gonna say, but all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And go through the
Maybe
motions
if it
while
was
listening to
still
all
the
this shit.
Raven Queen, but
Mm.
The plumes of smoke are now thicker and heavier, darker.
That's new.
You can readily see them from this distance.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a wild guess that that's Deep Miner.
Fair
Things
Actually,
have changed.
certainly
I'm
seems
go-
like it's deep mining.
yeah, I'm gonna say that is the result of them taking over that mine.
Yeah.
Oh, fair. So I guess the question is, what are our plans other than try to get information on the deep miners and try to get information on
Yeah.
the Lich?
Well, I don't really know what I'm looking for, but I'm
I mean,
more inclined to look into the
yeah.
Lich. So
I'm
if you could
probably-
direct me
I
towards,
can. Yeah.
There was.
I'm probably
mean-
gonna be more useful on that end of things. So yeah, I can.
I
I
guess,
have to
well,
agree as
Kristen
well,
just got
but-
up, so we
Yeah, I
might want
know.
to
Mm.
hold for a second.
I was gonna say, yeah, Kristen got up. Actually, I'm gonna get up really fast and grab Celine. But
Hmm.
Because I saw her take off her headset.
yeah, I know. I was like,
Before we get
Yeet.
too deep into planning, let's.
But yeah, I think
Hmm.
Elias could probably direct Darlton to like.
Yeah, I
his
think the question is
workshop
like,
or, you know,
sort of what are our plans in terms of
Hey.
how are we pursuing these two different things? Because that's gonna.
Hmm.
I know Velis and Wiria are sort of most into the. Well, I think they're both into both quite a bit. But
Well,
probably the most
Do we
into the
still
deep
have
miner.
rock seekers around here, or
that's the whole reason we came here.
yeah?
Yeah,
So we need
yeah,
to
they are
talk.
still
We
here.
should talk to them first and get
We
a
need to
feel for
find the
things
rock
better.
seekers, yeah, it might be good for us to do as a group.
Yes.
And then go from
Get us
there.
all on the
but, like,
same
sort of
page.
getting a sense of what's going on.
Mhm. Yeah, we should just
was
ask them
Nun-
to come meet
Yeah,
us if we can.
was Nundra in Phandalin or was she somewhere else?
Nundra was in Nicodranus.
Okay, Nundra was in
Um,
Nicodranus.
And last she knew, her brother Gundren
Gundren.
was in Phandalin at the mine. Like that's he was building up and sort of restoring the mine,
We can try to
opening it
message
up for
Gundren.
operations.
Yeah, so Wiri or Elias should try to message Gundren then to start out.
We should meet up.
Kia, did you roll your 1d3 for your Helm of Teleportation?
Roll it
Oh.
in roll 20.
That's what I was going to do, because honestly, the only dice I have right now is my D20.
No
I
one
don't
has
remember any of my
a
dice.
D3, so D3s aren't really a die.
Yeah. Trust me, you don't want a magic item that lets you roll 1d20 for your charges.
Oh, that sounds terrifying.
That's so
Rolled
many
it.
charges.
I saw it pop up with a 1.
Well, more
and
like it's a huge
D&D
variance
Beyond.
in
I
the
think he was-
charges you're
yeah.
gonna get per day.
Kia, I think
That's
Brendan was
right.
saying it roll it in roll 20, not in D&D Beyond.
Oh, well, I don't actually know how to roll it in Roll20. I've never rolled in
Slash
Roll20.
R
Slash
1d3.
R.
Slash R what?
Like that.
Safety.
But without
Without
the
the
period.
You don't even
Ah.
need the 1 in front of it, but
Oh, you don't?
nope.
Good to
If
know.
you're just rolling.
Oh,
All
Hey,
right.
full charted.
You're
Yay!
now fully charged.
Yay.
It's just I guess there isn't actually a D3 in D&D Beyond, so that makes sense.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, you just roll a
Like, my
d6
brain hurts right
divided,
now.
but-
Yeah.
Oh.
Roll a d6 divided by 2.
Yeah. So, well, I guess both. I mean, not all of us. Most of us have met Gundren. So either Elias or Wiria can reasonably cast Sending to Gundren, and he would know who the fuck we are.
That is correct.
So unless, since we were talking about doing that, so we need to talk to Gundren, or see what is up with Gundren, and then figure out from there how we're splitting up and what we're pursuing. So, and unless Wiria can go ahead and cast Sending.
Perhaps simply ask him if
If
there
we're
is a place
traveling
that
as a
we shan't
group,
meet.
well, I'll wait till we actually start moving.
Okay.
All
All right. So Sending first.
She'll cast Sending to Gundren and say, "What would he? Well, hold on, brain. How many words are in Sending?
25.
25.
I don't normally cast Sending. I just gave it to myself.
Yeah.
It honestly makes a lot of sense for her to have it though. Like
Yeah.
It does. I hadn't taken it because Elias had it, but it has made sense for both of them to have it at this
Yeah.
point. Gundren, we're near Phandalin. Are you in the area? We're looking for information. And since this would just be in Gundren's head, she might say, on the deep miners, can you help?
You have 6 words left.
Okay, thanks, bye.
This is Wiria, by the way.
Yeah.
You can replace this word with exactly 6.
By the way, sorry.
This is Wiria and friends.
We're young friends.
It's not just the tiny halfling.
Right. A moment or two passes before you hear a response. And if you've only ever spoken with Gundren in person, so it's strange hearing his voice in your head. Not exactly a dwarven Scottish brogue. I'm not going to attempt anything like that. But his voice is gruff and it sounds exhausted. Don't mess with the deep miners. Or if you do, fuck their shit up. We're all working in the
girl.
mines.
Thank you so much for the raid.
They've got people coming
Welcome.
in from
Hello,
Nicodranus.
raiders. How was your stream? What were you doing?
There's a lot. Haven't seen the sun in a while. Here to help.
As that continues, Wiria
Welcome,
just
welcome.
starts to look concerned, and looks at the
Wrong.
others.
It's not a good
Well,
thing.
he says that. Well, first he said don't mess with them, but then he said if we did,
Hello,
to
raiders.
fuck their
Welcome,
shit up.
D&D.
So I think we could go with that part. It sounds like they're
Allow me to
all
properly.
in the mines, and they've been. My impression from that DM is it sounds like they're basically using them as essentially slave labor. Is that a fair? They're being essentially
Oh, Lauren,
used
how you
as
doing?
slaves, which
Hi.
I'm
Right.
not okay with.
Maybe we just stab them.
And
So
he asked
we fuck their shit up.
if we're here to help. So we, I'm sort of tempted to respond and say yes, but maybe we just go and indeed fuck their shit up.
Is anyone gonna complain if I accidentally stab the guy?
No, I've got speak with dead prepared. I'm good.
There's already a pattern being in Vendolin.
But I guess it sounds. I guess the big thing is Gundren can't necessarily help right now, but we can help
Hope it
him.
went well. Welcome to Wild Times in Wildemount.
So I think Fandolin on that side is a very circumspect information gathering mission, and she looks at Bellis. That might be you and I.
Oh shit! I have to do a thing real quick. I have to unattune the elven throwing spike, so I can attune my hat.
Yes.
Okay.
I forgot it was attuned because it is not currently in my inventory.
Yes.
Well,
yes, sorry.
You two do that. I can take Darlton to asshole Lich's old labs and
little underground cave thing.
Yeah.
I will admit I am very intrigued by this as well. I've not seen or encountered this person yet myself, but from what it sounds they are able to do, it is
almost worried.
Certainly not the kind
Hello, Marcus. Welcome.
thing that, let's say, it's
well,
not Wildemount approved uses of magic.
About
Liches are generally both not God approved uses of magic, I think.
Yeah, it
I could be
depends on the
wrong.
god. Depends on the god.
But
oh yeah, we got our healer.
I really want to be dealing with.
Luckily enough.
To be honest,
and thank you so much for the follow. Welcome.
That he couldn't do this kind of magic last time we ran into him.
I mean, he was gross, but not that gross.
Yeah.
If you guys do go down there, just be careful, just in case.
Do we want some additional muscle? I mean, I think with us as well, just to be in case it comes up.
I would prefer if we even split this, if that's how we're going to play it.
So, Darlton, Leah, Elias, you go to deal with finding out information about Glassstaff. Velis and I are handling information gathering. So Hegan or Purnell, one of you with Velis and I, and one of you with the others?
Yeah, sounds good.
What are you guys feeling, Purnell?
Given what has been going on, I would prefer Hegan to stay with Velis if someone is spying on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea. So
you want to go to Asshole Cave?
No, but I don't believe I am going anyway.
I thought about it as I said it, and no one say a word.
Okay.
Everyone in this party is a child. Even the hundreds-of-year-old ones.
Yep.
So, DM,
no sorcerers in our party yet.
That's been going on. Wirya was going to
a tight squeeze,
and because we knew we were probably going to be splitting up at least to some
no
extent,
coffee
Wirya was going to prepare to spell this morning. She can prepare one spell. And it would normally be something she would take.
Detect magic.
We don't have our full warlock right now.
Hunter's mark also.
Okay.
Cool. We both have detect magic, which is handy, and I have to spell if we need it.
No.
Okay.
Our pure warlock is currently taking a
all right.
break,
Well, then
hanging out with his brother that
dispel,
was
so
missing for a very long time. So
you have dispel.
He's playing
Yeah,
Dalton for now.
we're good. We're pretty well covered on both ends.
All right.
All right. So, given that we're splitting up, perhaps we should head into town separately so we don't seem
I
like
agree.
a group.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Sure.
Well, let's get closer and then we can split off and figure out how, and she looks at Fellis and Hegan, how we're approaching some of this, because I think we're going to have to be very cautious about what we ask and how we ask it.
Yeah.
And it shall be difficult to be discreet given what happened the last time we were here.
I think we have to worry about the people who live here. I think we're pretty well on our side.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
it's just like
perhaps they
to
doth
our
not know what we are intending here and intending
Yeah.
to be discreet.
Maybe a little too on our side.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, we can.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of
mean,
saved
Fellis-
the town.
Leah's
Yeah,
like,
we could.
"What?"
Bellis can look different, so that's convenient.
Just gesture at the. I've already. Right now, I look like me in different colors,
Mm-hmm.
but I can also swap that to something else if we.
Many of
And
us
I
look
can-
somewhat different, but perhaps not enough.
I mean, we'll just have to be careful, I think is the answer. But
All right.
if we
So-
approach it as we're coming back visiting and are careful about how we do things, I think.
Yeah.
You know, wouldn't be that strange for us to come back to the town we saved at one point. So have to be smart.
Leah is just gonna. Phyllis mentioned that my symbol of the Wild Mother might not be readily welcomed. I
mean,
does anyone have if it's a thing that we're concerned about, I don't have.
I
it
don't
so
think it's a
much even
matter
as
of,
a
you
scarf
know, you should
or
worry about
something.
whether you have it on your person or not. I think they really more just care about whether you were trying to get other people to do it as well.
And I mean, this isn't,
You don't
Empire
think it's a matter
proper,
for
so
concern, so.
yeah.
I think this is outskirts enough that you should be fine.
All right. I just wanted to make sure that I do not want to cause any undue
Just perhaps
trouble
don't go
for you all, but
Don't flaunt it.
around and declare everyone should follow the Wild Mother. Which
And
is
that you shall be all
not
right.
precisely within the way you would behave anyway, so we're probably fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Leah will just kind of drape her braid and try and angle it to at least obscure her big massive braid to it's not gonna hide it, but hopefully obscure it so it's not as obvious. It's also just carved into the wood, so it's not like it's painted hot pink or something. It's just
the other good thing about splitting Elias and Wiria is we are the two with sending, so we can contact each other.
Yeah.
We also still have the brooches too.
Right, but then we have to be within message range.
Yeah.
Which Wiria also
Okay.
has message, but
You're splitting into two groups.
Yes.
You're coming from the east. The east of Phandalin was largely wooded. When you get a little bit closer, it becomes very clear that a significant amount of the woodlands in the vicinity of Phandalin has been clear cut.
Probably a good thing we didn't bring Felice.
Just from the distance.
He's about to go more X on all of them.
You can see you're probably a quarter mile out from the large sort of hill that manor was on and that the Red Brands had taken over. And for the most part, other than a few small copses of trees and an orchard here or there, along with a couple of fields. Most of the freestanding forests and trees have been cleared away, and so there is a significant area, probably about a quarter mile or so, all the way around this Bandolin that is just cleared to the stops. And you can see evidence of significant logging operations. And from this distance, you can see a number of new buildings that look like they may have been hastily or cheaply constructed. A lot of the plumes of smoke are coming from these. It looks like they might be forges or basically they're processing things, and they're generating a lot of smoke in doing so. You can readily see from this distance, there's no roads coming out of the town from where you're coming from, but there is a road coming from south and a road that goes off to the north. And you can see there are, from this distance, a number of figures that may be armed and armored, that are making regular rounds up and down roads. You can see a significant amount of bustle as there's a lot of activity. And just to the north on the road to the mines, you can see large numbers of wagons. And it looks like people are offloading some wagons and loading other wagons.
Well, this is interesting. Perhaps we should split up sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
I think so.
I agree.
Very well.
This is
What were the groups?
Velis, Wiria, Hegan, and then everyone else.
Can't think of the
Okay.
term.
What term?
I can't think of the term, but it looks like this is it's. I would imagine it's a place they're using to supply the army.
yeah.
Mm.
They're mining, then
Making, yeah.
refining and making.
I know what
Velis
you're thinking of, and I have no idea. I can't think of the word either.
and Darlton, you both would recognize very quickly any
Staging
kind.
That was what I was thinking of.
Yes. You would very quickly recognize if there was any imperial regalia or heraldry anywhere on anything. And if this was a military operation, there would very likely be examples of that, very neatly organized grounds and things like that. You don't see any of that. There's nothing here that is actually looking like it's overtly imperial.
So if anything, it's covertly imperial. But
at least
all right.
from a quarter mile away.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not making a show of being something empire, basically.
Right. Yeah,
So
they don't have a bunch of
That's
troops that are
worrying.
stationed here that are about to go, it's this is not a mustering point or anything like that.
Well, which group should go in first?
Well, one of us is going to a very specific place, and the other is just kind of seeing what they could
Seeing
find out
what's-
around
yeah,
town.
getting the lay of the.
I think you guys go on ahead. I think we need to
Yeah.
talk about how we want to play this.
We have a specific.
I think that probably is fair. Yeah.
Between Hegan, Wuria, and Velis, and invisibility and animal shape, you all can be fairly stealthy. So
Yeah, if we
you're
need
going
to, we
go
can be
directly into the town.
Yeah. May I suggest that we break soon so that we can talk about that off game?
Yeah.
And I can get
Sure.
some food?
I think now would be a good time to take a break anyways. So from where you can see, you can probably, after a certain point, making an approach to where the manor is on top of the hill, if there's anyone in the manor, or at least outside, they will readily see any group coming, because the ground has been clear cut. There's no, the ground has been churned up. You can see remnants of various operations for logging and stuff.
I mean, Darlton obviously doesn't really know, but
Yeah.
are we? Because I believe he had a place he was doing stuff in town, but was he also doing stuff in the manor?
I'm trying to remember. It's been. I don't have good notes from back then, but I don't.
Wait, you mean glass stuff or
Glass stuff
He had
was where his
that's where his lab was.
where his lab was.
Oh, right. It was
underneath
underneath
the manor.
there.
Underneath the manor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we are more headed for the manor then.
Yeah, you're heading somewhere
There's
else.
an entrance in the ruins of the manor.
There's there's a side, the
if there's
bottom
still
of the cliff.
ruins.
And there is also a cave entrance
Yeah.
down below as well.
The cave entrance is how we got in. I remember it was like
Right.
under a cliff.
I mean, do we want to?
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
we can.
It's been a long time, but yeah.
But we will pick up from here. But let's take a quick 15-minute. Well, I don't know if that's quick, but a good 15-minute break for food and discussion.
All right.
I'm gonna grab a.
We're gonna take a break. We'll be back shortly. See you soon. We shall deal with this the way we deal with everything else.
Punch him in the asshole.
Yes, the prison pocket.
What is with you? I'm gonna use that new spell that I got just to punch Nox. I think I'm gonna do it. If we're not doing it tonight, I think I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna wallop him right now.
I was trying to have a moment, but no.
It's Bureau's fault. Blame Bureau. He's the one who said it.
I said it once.
I know.
So
you shouldn't have said it enough.
Yeah, but when John hears it and he loves something, he's gonna run that joke into the fucking ground. That's what you don't understand.
He's gonna bury that thing 10 feet deep.
Here lies prison pocket.
Up the prison pocket.
55 to 80.
Side behind you, those of you who are still in the four-way intersection.
Oh boy.
You watch as coming out of that weird green glowy liquid.
Motherfucker.
Is another one.
Fucking
I
hell.
knew I should have drank it.
No.
I don't think you should have drank the
snake liquid.
People have been telling me that for years. I've never taken their advice.
Oh my god.
Take inspiration.
What you gonna do?
Someone clip that, please. Tommy, clip that shit.
And I fist hard. And I fist strong.
All right, I'm down. Let's do this.
I'm not King Shimon. Let's do this.
Excellent. Prepare your body. No. You should not eat dinner before this. Otherwise, you might puke it all over me, and that is just... ugh. We are fisters here, men of culture.
Well, I had fun.
I don't know. It seems like a rather unsatisfying finish, don't you think?
I don't know. I'm pretty satisfied.
Many times. He set himself up for that fucker.
Well, Elias just falls out of his chair. The sun quickly reaches out to catch him.
This is at least worth. If something's going on in this city involving, I'd like to know about it.
Of course, I shall follow their lead. Yeah. But for now, I know thou wishest to have thy spell time.
Spell time?
She just like she doesn't really know.
That's a phrase.
She's like, that's.
Is that what they're calling it now?
He wants to go alone into the bedroom. Put out some incense. What do you think?
It's gonna take me like 10 minutes.
Nah, I'll just void that. I'll cast locate object on gold coins.
You get several thousand dings on your locate object. Without too much trouble with that, you are able to find the horde of Zuthus, the corroded soul.
Woo!
We found them. Yay.
Fike, I shall not say this very often, but get the hole ready.
yeah, it's not gonna fit in the bag, brah. It's not fitting.
You just
in the
got
bag.
experience points.
Yes! Let's go. Let's go.
I hope you've got quite a few other a small army of capable fighters with you.
Smash cut to small army fighting people in the ring in that bar.
Ding, 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 ding.
Smash cut to Vanya and Orion fighting what looks to be about a dozen other dwarves in a caged ring.
Please tell me Vanya is wielding Orani like a club and is just and he's swinging down, stopping right before that Orani punches. Hey, the punching club, my only weakness.
Just leave one leg open so I can kick him too.
Smash cut back to the office. Smash cut back to the office of Nostock.
You could say we have something along those lines.
Specifically, this one's called. That one's called. Fuck.
It's a weird name for an island. Fuck.
Fuck it! I said
really
it.
don't want to go there.
Now. It's Fuck Island.
It's either the best or the worst island in the archipelago.
So named.
It's definitely not a mediocre experience, though.
So named because everybody who goes there says, "Fuck, this is a terrible place."
That's actually their slogan. Fuck, this is a terrible place.
Yeah, it's what their tourism bureau tells people. Yeah, so as you're going by Fuck Island, you hear some crows saying, "Yeah, the people on Fuck Island are fighting each other again."
I don't suppose the crows recognize any cult symbols?
Nah, no cults there. Just 3 different groups of people with very strong ideas about what to do.
Just a bunch of fuckers, really.
Yeah, basically.
So these fuckers want to raise taxes.
Only some of the horrible things going on are cult things. The rest are just regular terrible people.
Just double checking.
That's fair.
Because I kind of want to know who our neighbors are, but that'll be on that goes on to the to-do list.
All right. Yeah. I will. Let me come up with some quick faction names for you while we're sailing.
The factions that we can get to fight each other harder.
Sure. They're already in a turf war. You can't start one amongst them.
Okay, so our goal is to stop the turf war. Got it.
We need to unite the fuckers against a common foe.
Common fuckery.
Friends, Romans, fuckers.
Under the banner of common fuckery.
Oh, I'm so glad we named it Fuck Island. Oh,
I thought I didn't have
alrighty.
enough caffeine for this, but apparently I do.
I'm just gonna go ahead and start another Google Doc real quick for Fuck Island. 'Cause I think we're gonna see more of it in the future. Alrighty. So yeah, you pass by Fuck Island. The fuckers are fighting the fuckers are fighting the shitters again.
Fuck you all. I might be crying. I'm laughing so hard.
Oh, you're gonna have to give me a second. Okay.
Fucking same.
If we conquer it and then eventually trade it away in a business deal, we could give somebody a fuck. Or if we refuse to do it, we would not give a fuck.
Fuck you!
Look at all the I have to get. Yeah. Okay.
If the shitters are involved, I don't want to take any shit.
I think I'm just dead, guys. I'm sorry.
Their main factions are now canonically the fuckers, the shitters, and the dammers. The fuckers really want to fuck shit up. The shitters just the shitters are big on the idea of public infrastructure, specifically for sewage, and the dammers are really, really big on building dams for some reason.
They're a big fan of beavers.
Yeah, big fan of beavers. They're beaver people. Yes.
So it's ultimately a conflict about public infrastructure planning.
It's ultimately a conflict about public infrastructure of two people who have very strong ideas on two groups of people who have very strong ideas about what the main form of public infrastructure should be and what their focus should be, versus one other group of people who just really, really want to fuck shit up.
I just thought like the fuckers were just like really into just making it a very island brothel.
Fuck.
This is starting to sound like a Dr. Seuss book.
Almost.
It's really all just really about the type of whorehouse they want.
Well, we'll work on it. I'll write something for Fuck Island. Do not fear.
You're
the
welcome.
main takeaway for now: beaver people are now canon for ULA. They will all speak in Newfie accents. All of them. All right. So yeah, Fuck Island. That is now.
Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this.
And I'm gonna inflict wound.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna do inflict. Whoops. Come back.
Inflict whoops.
Whoops.
Inflict whoops.
As
if I made a terrible mistake.
Very educational.
Of course, it is my calling to aid those in the name of the Wild Mother. You are a follower, and from what I've seen, a good one. And it was my pleasure to assist you in such a daunting task.
Given all that, she said you would be most effective of a teacher. So, and she was not wrong.
Well, I have long caught the Wild Mother's eye in doing good works for her for many a year. And the fact that she would say something like that to you about me.
Just watching this being like both a bit like surprised and also like, oh shit, you called him a crotchety asshole. I'm not gonna don't think about it.
I did so enjoy slicing into his flesh that one time. I was a battle axe that time. It was pretty cool.
He just like does that. Oh, it's so fucking weird to hear you say pretty cool.
I'm picking up the nomenclature. Things have changed a bit, but I'm starting to pick up, the lingo.
Ren would appreciate him way more than Arani.
Cool. I'm hip with it.
Tucka. I just realized he does kind of have a Dr. Evil's voice.
I'm hit with it. I get jiggy. I get down.
Let us return at a later time.
Very well. Did you wish to speak to anyone, Seo?
Who do I speak to?
Depending on your needs, the High Priest? Or whatever the equivalent is for temple.
Who's the High Priest?
I would suppose you would look for the... What is the correct term for this? Biggest badass in the yard? Is that right?
Oh, I see where this is going, so that means I gotta kick their ass.
No? I would not open with that, but the chances are there.
And coast another lightning beam across it. Fuck you, Ren. You're a terrible person. And it is barely standing.
Fucking
it is barely standing.
That's what I get for trying to save you.
Yeah, it's not the tracks didn't necessarily get smaller, Fike. They just changed shape and became bipedal instead of quadrupedal.
Fast it up. The bear's walking on two legs now.
No, it's definitely not bear tracks anymore. It's definitely
it's not bear.
No,
changing the shape of his foot.
They're definitely humanoid.
Father Fike was about to have a conniption with freaking Noxus. He's about to be like, "You fucking idiot! It's still a fucking bear."
That's how we couldn't find
It's a tricky bear. It found shoes. It put shoes on. This is where it sat. And put on shoes. And the struggle with the laces.
This is what happened to the last traveler. It fell for a trap.
It wore its last traveler's skin.
Oh God!
I don't know how big that would be, but I assume it's.
And that was when God carried the bear.
Yeah.
God, for the love of Cord, stop.
Oh my god.
All right, we know that there are 1,000,001 bear puns out there. Let's try.
And I can, you know what,
bear
guys,
it anymore.
I'm barely holding myself together right now.
Let's turn Persona 4 very quickly.
Oh God.
This is just unbearable.
Yeah, that pun was unbearable.
This is
All right, everybody get them out of their system.
Commit this grisly murder.
All right. Anyway. We're good.
We're good.
All right, that's where we're gonna call it tonight.
What is this other book that you speak of? And she sort of closes the book in Dwarvish, and she kind of sits up a little bit and sits back, sort of in that centered watery area, and with a lot more dexterity than you would expect, actually slips the Dwarvish book into the bag of holding, and then flips open the butter churning milkmaid, flipping through it sort of page by page.
She was very accurate in how she described it.
She was. You're not wrong.
And you can see after a moment she just stops.
Bellis is doing his absolute best to keep a completely straight face.
Yeah.
Maria is keeping a straight face.
Eliza's trying so hard not to laugh.
Bellis has high charisma. I think he's good, but it's
or not just not react.
Katana's just.
Right. There's nothing.
I'm just going.
She like. She turns like one page, and she's like reading through it. She kind of
good parts.
Well, she flipped through a bunch of it. She stops, and she turns her head to sort of like regard you and look at you, and then she looks back to the book.
Oh, we just gave the dragon a bodice buster.
And she looks back to you. I have lived for almost 1,000 years. I have seen the ending of the world and the birth of a new one, and in all that time, I have never experienced anything like this.
Something we don't have in common.
She sort of like leans down, looks at all of you like a little bit closer, and like, do you little people create much of this?
Have you heard of the great word archive of our own?
It is perhaps more common than it should be. But
Yes. Varying degrees of quality, but
as with all things.
It seemed like something that perhaps
We have a ticking clock.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and come back on in.
Okay.
And I can see Jerusha now too. Look at that.
Yay.
Yeah,
I
that's very
refreshed,
refreshing, yeah.
refreshed when Kristen said it worked, and that worked. Yeah.
All right, well, maybe I'll try and refresh. So,
Refresh party.
Velis, Wuria, and Hegan all go stealth mode and go flying off because you're going to go reconnoiter first. And so that leaves Darlton and Elias, Purnell, and Leah to make your way towards the cave entrance.
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay. So here's the tricky part about doing that. There's not really. It's still, I would say, early morning, and the sun is coming up from directly behind you. So anyone looking in this general direction is going to have a face full of sunlight. And I'm not talking about Leah's personality. So
The glow is now literal.
yes.
That's good.
So there isn't a whole lot to hide you, but people, anyone who happens to be looking in this particular direction, because you're literally coming in from the east shortly after the sun crests the horizon, people will have a hard time seeing you. But there isn't really much to hide behind. So
Leah just has the Virgin Mary glow halo around her. And she's watching his, like,
so you can attempt to go quickly, or you can attempt to go stealthily, whichever one you would like to do.
We were talking about trying to go for the cave entrance.
Yeah.
Yes. The thing is,
There's still not a ton of cover.
so there's a big hill, and the manor was on the top, and you can kind of see it up here in the top right on the map graphic. All of the woods that used to surround the hill are gone, and it's just like stumps, and churned up dirt, and occasional like broken pieces of wood and other seams that looked like someone came and cut a bunch of trees down and hauled them all away and left a bunch of everything behind. So everything is churned up and rough, but there's no cover really between you and where that cave entrance is going to be. That's in the sort of the foot of that hill.
But yeah, I would say try and go as quickly as we can until we can get to a point where like the landscape just blocks the view from the manor.
Just try and make a run for it, basically.
Sounds good to
Maybe
Leah.
not a
She's
run,
Not a
but
run,
like,
but yeah. Just
Okay.
Yeah.
You move with purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while since you've been here. And last time you were here, there were woods and trees and everything. So it's a little bit weird coming. It's like going back to your old hometown, and like that building. There's a building that is there that didn't used to be there, and then there is a building that used to be there that's no longer there, and you just have a whole big sense of that. But you do manage to find the cave entrance, although it actually looks like it may have been it looks like it had been not covered up but hidden, almost like someone made an effort to hide it with what might look like a rock fall, but you can actually kind of poke your way around and through and go inside. If you hadn't known it was there, you probably wouldn't have been able to find it.
Well, that stuff makes sense.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, either someone's using it again, or they're just trying to keep curious townspeople out for, their own safety.
Can I tell it all? Like, this is covered up. Can I tell it all how recently that was covered? If anyone else has tried to make their way around the rubble?
Not recently at all. No. The weather and the weathering and debris and everything that's just kind of in the area looks like this was done a while ago. As was a lot of the logging. All right. So I don't know what order you're in, but I'm also pretty sure that you all have your full hit points, so you might need to update your little token tokens.
Oh yeah. Are we on there? Oh, there we are.
You're down. Should be down at the bottom. So the entrance to the cave is actually in the ravine area. It's not in the upper area. So just the map looks like it's in the upper area, but it's technically like you're coming in down below here, where that Nothic was.
Oh, okay.
Oh, was his cave?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought that was the other cave.
I didn't know we.
Where they found you? Nope. That was goblins and a bugbear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were Nothics down here and a bunch of there were bridges.
A Nothic is an aberrant creature,
No, I know
and
what
you
it
did
is.
not sense
Stab
any
that thing?
aberrations.
Yeah. Didn't I stab that thing in the eye?
Yep.
I don't remember.
I'm
Like
pretty
I
sure
did.
somebody stabbed it in the eye.
I'm pretty sure I stabbed it in the eye.
It is dark in the ravine area. It's probably about a 15-foot gradual slope up to the floor of the cavern there. You can see that the two bridges have been reinforced and solidified with proper construction. There are what look to be it's too steady of a light to be torchlight, but you can see lights scattered about here and there from up
I
above.
just need to give the cat food. She's picky.
This is most probably deep behind our property now.
Yeah.
Just want to take a minute and listen to see if there is any activity.
Okay, go ahead and make wisdom perception checks.
Yeah, I will.
19.
Okay.
Oh.
No.
All right. As you're all quietly sort of pausing and listening, there seems to be a distinct sound of a pair of footsteps. One perhaps booted heels, like booted feet, and the other a much higher pitched, almost like someone wearing heels.
Like high heels.
And it's gradually approaching, coming from over here. Now you're all in the cave area over here, within earshot, and you can definitely hear what sound like a male voice and a female voice approaching. What would you like to do? What do you do?
No, is there somewhere?
Yeah,
around
I
here we
say
can,
like gesture people back
into
a
the
bit, just to cling to.
Yeah.
And finger to lips.
Okay. Dexterity stealth checks as you all attempt to scramble back and be very quiet.
I'm good at
Slow,
those. All right,
but-
I get to roll actual dice. Let's do this.
Go.
Elias, don't fuck this up.
I know. I'm gonna
Elias.
cast
I mean,
guidance.
got Leah here.
I'm
we're
gonna
not the
cast
stealthy
guidance on myself real quick.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna roll a
natural
d4 as well.
20.
Oh, Leah.
Holy shit! Yeah, Leah.
I'm a tree.
Underground.
Yup. Hey, you know what? She put that moss on her earlier. It's good.
Yeah,
You're blending
perfect.
Camo.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That is 21.
Hey.
Okay.
Nice. We're doing good.
Pernell and Darlton, what did you get?
27.
Chat 13.
Okay.
Wow.
So as you all quietly hush yourself up and get quiet, you can hear the voices getting louder, and you can see two figures crossing from the area over here, and it looks like they are turning and beginning to go across the bridge as if they're going to be walking across. Whoever is sort of in the lead, the female figure, slight frame, robed. It's hard to make out details because you're quite a ways back, so you're just kind of picking up a little bit. The figure with her, the other person, similar stature, hard to tell much because he's on the other side of her. But listening in on the conversation, I hadn't pre-written this, and so I'm not able to read it and act it out. But he seems to be some sort of foreman in charge of some kind of mining activity. And she is very impatient with his progress. She is not satisfied with their production. And just before they go out of earshot, you can hear her chiding him and mentioning that the assembly does not have much patience left for them. Before the sounds of those footsteps recede.
Carlton already had his weapon out, but it's just kind of like grips it a little harder.
Yeah, you could tell by the slight lilt in the voice, that she was probably Elven.
Blame me for this.
But
were they talking at all? Could I make out anything with? Because I know Elvish.
You're all hearing that. She wasn't speaking in Elvish.
Oh,
She
okay.
was just her. If you were to sort of like pin accent, it was clear that her native language was Elvish. Actually, I would say, Pernell, if anything, considering your background with a number of variations of Elvish, think of someone who is trying to actually sound like they were having an Elven accent, like someone leaning a little too hard into an accent.
Oh. I mean, they've dealt with that in Guardian, so.
Right.
Does this expression on her face like, oh god, not again?
Leah is just observing all of the different expressions on her comrade's face because she knows
Darlton
no
is
idea
definitely
what
kind of just
speaks
like
of
pressed
this.
up against the wall. Not really like reacting too much, other than just kind of a.
Right. Yeah, he kept referring to her as lady, but didn't have any other signifier or name. But they left and went over in this direction over here.
Darlton is not moving, not breathing until we do not hear any sound of them.
Yeah.
A few moments pass and you can hear the conversation. Now you do have a vague sense that there's a passage. There are a couple of rooms over in that direction, and then eventually it leads to where his study was. But it's eventually quiet.
Just be forward once. Don't hear anything else.
What do you want to do?
Or which way to wherever this mage was working out of when you crossed him?
It wasn't the direction they went, was it?
No, the study was back this way, right? Or because there was like lab stuff back here.
They started here and they
Yeah.
walked in this direction, and his lab was on the far end over in the top left.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, let's just as quietly as we can.
Yeah. I'm gonna point back towards the other bridge and that light. It was back there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So there are actual by each bridge there are a couple of ropes that hang down that are knotted at intervals that look like they're specifically there to help facilitate climbing up from the bottom of the ravine area. It's not too particularly steep, so you can climb back out.
Does Leah?
Are you climbing out of the ravine specifically?
No, that was Felice. Yeah, I was just looking too, and I was like,
No. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I was literally just thinking.
All of the sneak was in the other party.
Right.
I feel like
I
we got a little
sneak.
too much of the muscle.
Yeah, you've got some sneak, but you've also got some distinct non-sneak.
Right. All right. So what are you doing?
Yes. Making our way towards the study as quietly as possible.
Okay. You do
I'm
recall
following, and
I guess
I'm acting as the tail at this point. I am.
Okay.
Okay.
You do recall that there's a storage area that's at the far end of this cavern that had a secret door that led to the study.
Okay, yeah, we'll head for that. Then.
Okay. So you can tell the lights in here are magically are magic. Continual light type spells. As you pass through, you don't hear any further conversation. But I'm going to say because of the knotted ropes and the not very treacherous area, it's not really much of a check at all to climb up the stairs. And other than those two voices and people, you haven't really encountered anyone else yet. But it takes a few moments, but you are able to find the catch that opens up the secret door. And judging by the amount of debris and other stuff that has just kind of been tossed in this corner, it doesn't appear that it has been opened because of the amount of things that are piled up against it.
It's a good sign.
Yeah.
Best if it's undisturbed. We get the we're looking for.
Yeah.
And there's a small, short stairwell that leads down.
Can I check before we head down? Is there
Yeah.
can we close it and be able to open it back up from the side?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So what is the stuff with it? Is the stuff blocking it though? I'm so
That's yeah.
So there was like some crates and some barrels, and you'd have to actually like move those aside a little bit to get to the secret door.
I be strong. I do it.
Yes.
Right.
I will aid Leah Moira in that.
And judging by the condition of stuff that's here, it is being used as storage. It's not particularly organized. But if someone were regularly using this secret door, it wouldn't have all this stuff piled up in front of it. So you can move it to get access to the secret door.
Yeah.
Let Leah be a strong.
Yes.
Yeah. You can hear from the if you go into the passageway there, you can hear what sounds like some muffled voices continuing a conversation from before, and then the door shutting, and then it's quiet again. So whoever may have been there may be leaving again.
What? So we heard muffled voices
On the other side of the wall here.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like
From that
from
room.
in here.
While we're in that passage.
Would I've been able
from
to
the
listen?
passageway, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got in.
We're kind of
Listen through the wall.
Go ahead and make a perception check to see what snippet of conversation you can hear and how well you hear.
16.
18.
Okay. So it was definitely those two people from before.
Jeez,
and
Leah rolled a 25 total on perception.
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Her
And
perception- I was like,
in
"Whoa."
which case,
It's high.
Because you got
right.
the big cow ears.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
or 24, I think.
oh, well,
can
if I
math.
still get
24?
advantage on this perception check,
24.
that's like sound. That's a natural 20.
Woo!
Okay.
So.
So you catch more of the conversation. She says she makes reference to Kobold, Deep Miner, who's overseeing operations at the mine itself. And you hear the man that she is with refer to her as Lady Derogna. Darlton, you would immediately recognize the name.
I know that.
I know, yeah. Elias has no idea who this is. I know who this is.
Interesting name.
I don't know if we ever talked about which, if any, assembly members were directly involved with Penumbra.
I wouldn't. We hadn't discussed it.
Yeah.
But you would be familiar with, specifically, at least with her, because she replaced Lady Delilah Briarwood, who a number of years ago was expelled from her position for the practice of necromancy, which is kind of frowned upon in the Empire.
Not in Whitestone, apparently.
Not like.
I mean, it's kind of frowned upon.
Not like my division exists for that purpose or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Not like the Briarwoods politely walked up to Whitestone and were like, "Would
Existed.
you mind if we practice necromancy here?"
But this was at one point the private bedchambers of Iarno Albrecht.
So, are we in? Did we go into the room?
Yeah, I'm not
Not
sure.
quite yet.
Where do the stairs lead to?
Yeah, it's like
Right here. That's the spot.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like,
Okay, I
there's no
wasn't sure if
door
they
other
were
than
like
the door
leading to
out,
another
so, like-
map or like an
Yeah. So sure, they're gone. Gonna slowly try to open the entrance here. And slip in.
All right.
typing.
So it's mostly the same as it was. It doesn't look like anyone's actually using this for any kind of bed chamber. Most of the things are kind of shifted and moved around. But you can start searching if you want.
I'm
but
going
this
to first thing as soon as we get into the room, I'm going to go to the door, lock it, and prop a chair up in front of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No. Oh.
Okay. All right. It doesn't sound like there's anyone on the other side of the door, and based on the description they gave, that it was actually a laboratory. But it doesn't sound like there's anyone there.
Oh, so laboratory's on the other side of the door then.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
This is just a bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was a
well,
bedroom that was allowed.
I will not lock that door then.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
Were
is
you
the
gonna
door
lock that one? Okay.
I assume.
Yes.
So,
if we move into the other room,
yeah.
I will lock and bar
that door. Okay. So it's quiet. What I'm besides searching, is there something that you're looking for in particular? What is it that you're attempting to accomplish with your time here?
Kind of direct the rest, basically. If you're unfamiliar,
You're
Oh no, robot!
mortality.
It's a horrible time to.
Yeah.
cut
God
out.
damn it!
Thanks, Space Guard. I don't know if it sounds any better or not.
At the moment, yes.
It's good now.
So basically give a cursory explanation of liches and basically how they achieve functional immortality by binding their soul to an object, and they make sure that is well hidden in order to preserve their being. I don't anticipate finding that here, but I would like to try and find any information that leads to other places
What it might be
that they may have been working in, or connections that we can go from here to start trying to track that down.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see if there's anything different here than what we found before, to see what they might be doing with the space now.
Anything that
anything.
has to do with how they achieved lichdom as well, because that's apparently a thing that that necromancy didn't really seem to be in their wheelhouse before, apparently.
Yeah.
From what the others were talking about. So
Okay. All right. So you commence to searching. There's going to be imagine a montage of going through items, searching, flipping through pages, pouring through notes.
Yeah, I'm more looking at like written documents than anything else.
Right. So in and amongst the things that you find, you didn't find this initially, but on the bookshelf with a number of other things, are what look to be a number of collected reference materials to a lot of alchemy stuff, but specifically what appears to be Jarno Albrecht's old spell book. Based on the fact that it's got like some notes in the front. Not exactly a "if lost, please return to" notation on it, but looking at it, it's definitely a tome full of various arcane notes, and you can, flipping through it, notice a number of different like notations. And there seems to be a number of fresher notes that are written in a much neater, finer script. that seem to be making a number of comments about the relative inexperience of the owner of the spell book. And it's like, what you would surmise is he was a rudimentary wizard. And whoever looked at this, possibly, this other Archmage of the Assembly who seems to have taken up some kind of position in this area, made a bunch of notations commenting on the relative simplicity of a lot of the arcane spell work. But there's also notes referencing a number of spells and rituals that were too similar to her to her predecessor that she's investigating. To put it very clearly, these are notes by Lady Vesta Ragna written in Yarno's spellbook saying a lot of this stuff is too rudimentary for this other stuff to make a whole lot of sense. And these things look a lot like, she doesn't mention her by name, but you would presume she's actually referring to Delilah Briarwood. There's some intimating potential connection between Albrecht and Briarwood.
So I'm trying to, what it implies is either he was making himself out to be less knowledgeable than he actually was, or something else was enhancing.
More like he got a hold of something that was way beyond his abilities, and he was barely able to figure some of it out.
Okay.
It's an idiot who got lucky.
Yeah.
While Darlton's looking, I know it's gonna ping literally like everything in the room.
Yeah, I still
Leanna's
have
gonna
detect
use
evil and good up.
her once a day Firbolg detect magic that she didn't use earlier, the thing I accidentally clicked, but
Sure.
but is looking specifically for, is there anything that pings it, because it's gonna ping the entire room, I'm sure. But
what are you
anything
searching for, though?
Anything that you would not assume, or like at first glance you wouldn't think, well, that's probably magical. Like anything out of the ordinary that that pings the detect magic of, like, out, like something that looks either super mundane or
So you're
suspicious.
using detect magic. Not everything in the... There's actually very few things in the room that are magic besides you guys.
Cool. Well, she's gonna put it up anyways because
Right.
Darlton mentioned the use of magic items and things, so she's just, anything that looks mundane that maybe is not.
Right.
I don't know. So yeah, she's throwing that up.
In terms of items that are magical,
Mhm.
there's not really much besides what you're wearing. However, kind of in a corner of the room that looks like it's got some discarded clothing that was otherwise somewhat ignorable, you get a slight unusual ping. In terms of the magic, it's, if anything, it's vaguely reminiscent of what you detect when Brightwing is around.
Leah's definitely gonna go and take her glaive and, like, you said, it's this pile of clothing.
Right. When
She's
you
gonna
disturb the pile of clothing,
poke at it.
a small rat jumps out and begins running along the edge of the wall.
Get
I
it!
remember that. I remember that.
Yeah.
Go, yeah, go to try to take care of it.
Grab the rat.
Okay.
I turn and shoot it.
Are you going to kill it, or...
Magic rat ran out from a pile of clothes. She's stabbing.
Okay, make an attack roll against the rat.
And she's also saying that as she does. She's just like, get it, magic rat.
Once again, that face, not again.
Leah, I don't even know. rolls. Where's my thing here? Wow, it's been way too long. Why is my...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's a rat. It doesn't have a high AC. What did you just roll?
I'm just like, why is it not showing me my, like, it's only showing me the little, like, frostbite thing. It's not showing me her glaive for some reason. So hang on. What is happening?
Do you not do you not have
Which
it
tab
equipped?
are you on?
There we go.
Yeah.
For some reason, I had managed to unequip the glaive. That was weird. There it is. 23.
Okay. Its AC was 10. You hit it. Normally, if you were to like swing your glaive at a small rodent somewhere about that big, you'd expect there to be sort of a spray of blood and viscera. Except when your blade connects with it, you hear a squeak, and then it just sort of winks out of existence, like a wizard's familiar.
She's gonna probably curse in halfling under her breath because I feel like she's picked that up from Weria, probably.
And wherefore is it every time we are here?
And just
every time.
What was? Why does it feel like Brightwing?
That's his familiar.
Um,
I'll be honest.
This
I
happened the
completely
last time we were here.
Who's familiar?
Yarno
Albrecht.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
At least it was a rat last time we
It
dealt
was a
with.
rat last time.
What? Well, if
We did the
if
same
he's
exact
not
thing
been
when
back
we were
here,
here.
why was it still here?
I mean, is there anything to the pile of clothes? If I sort through.
It looks like it's a small rat's nest that's got a bunch of various brightly colored baubles and other things that had been collected by the rat. A couple of gold coins, a couple of silver coins. It looks like there's also a fairly decent writing quill, like a good quality one that it must have purloined from something and snagged to its nest. Silver filigree inlaid, vaguely elvish in design.
Quill.
There, it's monogrammed with
Sell it for something.
VDR on it.
Oh. Yeah.
That's funny. Just because
I just
really stole it, so it's like
we could steal. You guys could steal.
Steal
her
a best
Vesper.
You taking Master Rogna's quill?
Super fancy monogrammed quill.
I feel like if anything,
Yes.
Leah's like, this looks like something Weria might enjoy writing with.
Or we could sell. I mean, it's
fancy.
If she doesn't want it, we could probably sell it for a,
That's true.
Well, on that note, if there is nothing else we're trying to find in here, we should.
Yeah, nothing else.
Move along.
Like Leah's
yeah,
doing a once over. Looking for any other hints of detect magic.
Yeah, I'm basically still just looking through any written notes or anything.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
desk
Look for anything that
in the
might
bedroom, under the
indicate-
bed.
Yeah.
So there's paperwork and notations. It looks like Lady Duragna kind of went through everything and then cataloged it and then wrote most of it off because it was very far beneath her. And so there's still a lot of other things that are left over from when Iarno was here doing research. So you have his spell book. There's occasional scraps and notes that weren't otherwise discarded that make reference to a lot of self-aggrandizing. He's going to become a great wizard someday. He knows that there are a number of other. He seems to be aware that he stumbled into someone else's footsteps, and he had been making efforts to find them, but had been thus far unsuccessful.
Was there anything that he had discovered kind of possibilities of where to take that trail, or
other than just leaving the Empire, going west. It's some scattered notes about potentially having left Wildemount.
Leah also was just gonna glance. Were there any like herbs or anything like that sitting on the table or anything? Always keeping a casual eye out for things to take back to Gardner.
There are a number of ingredients that are labeled and jarred and things like that that were relatively untouched.
Leah will
You can grab
take
a bunch of
some
stuff.
of those if she can, yeah.
Sure. Various alchemical and magical ingredients of minor value. Most likely stuff that he's never encountered before, so it could be useful.
That's why I was like, there's probably some cool stuff here.
Yeah,
Yeah, Leah's
like
just gonna snag
ingredients
some of
for alchemy and spellcasting and things like that. A lot of arcane spell components that are not particularly valuable. Like if you were like a 4th, 5th level wizard, this would be a great lab.
Yeah.
But Lady Vesterogna is not a 4th or 5th level wizard, and this is
I have it marked down that I grabbed various starters and ingredients back to Gardner.
Yes.
No idea what's in them. Hopefully he doesn't start raising the undead.
So like, yeah.
Presumably the individual ingredients don't necessarily.
Corn soup.
Oh no.
It seems like the
You roboted hard, John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like we still haven't, so there was nothing that so far has indicated how he went from mediocre wizard to turning himself into an actual lich.
Besides connection to Delilah.
Besides connection to Delilah, like
the only person who would really
just
know
got
anything
super
about
lucky.
Delilah Briarwood would be anyone in the party who's got Empire history. So that would be Velis and Darlton. So whatever Darlton imparts, I'm sure you could probably make the connections between everything that he likely found something left behind of Delilah Briarwood's.
Something finally.
But it was more along the lines of he never showed any ability to do this himself. So if anything, something was done to him to bring him back.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Wherefore wouldst anyone do that?
I mean, because they can. Power.
Certainly wouldst have chosen someone else.
That's,
you must have some particular reason
that
for
or
him.
he was just a convenient body.
Potentially.
I mean, unless we find I don't think that's an answer we're gonna get unless we find the person who was, who did that.
Who mayest be somewhere around here if he was a convenient body here.
Wizards and spellcasters and angry spirits filled with hatred and vengeance are all likely candidates for attracting the attentions of dark powers. And based on the way he went out and the
probably pretty
very, very bitter and angry curse on his lips as Velis
killed him again.
Interrupted him.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course you don't.
If someone didn't bring him back as a lich, it wouldn't be surprising if he didn't come back as something angry and undead.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I'm in trouble.
Oh no.
I'm in trouble.
I mean, still really like to try and find information of where we might be able to track him down to at this point. I will start focusing my attention more on like the bedroom
Mhm.
to see if, because that seems like it was even less likely to be disturbed.
Hmm.
Yeah, it looks like, at least on the map, it looks like there's like a writing desk or some other things here.
Leah
Okay.
will also. She still has her detect magic up, so if there's anything magic and
There's nothing magic in the other room other than what you bring in. The only other notes refer to conversations with some person or character that calls themselves the Black Spider. And there's reference to some ruins that are in the foothills nearby, where some like captives were being held. That there's it was the headquarters of some hobgoblins. In terms of other things specific to where, like, all of this stuff was written before he died, so there's not going to really be any kind of reference to where he's at right now. You have his spell book. You the familiar is dead. But that is, if anything, something to go off of.
And could be perhaps used for scry. If he is still somewhere.
That's something, I
Actually,
guess.
yeah, I could.
If you have someone's possession and you know of who they
Yeah.
are, it's possible to
use
scry
that
on them.
Just try and scry on him, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to try that. Once we're somewhere a little
Once we're
less.
not here, yeah.
Yes.
Less,
Whoever's got good
I don't
hearing
know.
hears boots coming down the corridor.
Go.
We need to go.
I'm gonna move the chair out of the way. I'm gonna unlock the door and we're gonna head back out to secret passage.
Okay. As you close the door, you can hear the other door open briefly, and a pair of voices. But you're sort of concerned with getting out the secret passage. It sounds like this is someone wearing armor, and they might just be walking around, looking at things, making rounds. So you get into the secret passage, close the door behind you, and you don't hear anything coming from this area here.
Slip back through.
All right, yeah, let's go through. I mean, let's wait
Mm-hmm.
because he's gonna come back out the other way.
You wait a
Presumably.
bit longer, a few moments, and you can keep the door cracked so that you can hear through it a little bit without it giving away its position. You do actually hear those footsteps, and it sounds like someone is walking kind of this way. And eventually they kind of walk on.
gosh,
All right, let's move
flashbacks
better.
to playing Phantom Hourglass and like having to
Yeah.
wait for things to go by. Go. Wait.
Wait.
God. And then if
Trying to stay out of the cone of vision.
That is intensely Zelda. Phantom Hourglass or not. Holy shit. I love Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
Hedge maze.
Oh, yeah.
I still haven't played Ocarina of Time. I need to. I have it.
It's an intensely Zelda feeling of that.
Yeah.
Just like,
I miss
Or the Moblin maze in. Yeah. It's the Moblin maze.
There don't seem to be any other patrols or footsteps through this cavern, and so if you want to head back out, you can. If you wanted to go into any of the other areas, where are you headed from here with the information that you have?
I mean, it's up to.
Yeah, I don't know
Do you
if
guys think we'll find anything else useful in another
there was
room?
anything else anywhere else that might have. I'm trying to remember.
There was a room behind a waterfall, I think, where he had a little hidden storage space that we missed because a rat alerted him to it last time.
Mm.
Don't know why my brain files away this useless shit from a game
Well,
that I played
you're
4
also-
years ago.
No.
So last time you were here that you remember, this was a room where Elias stepped through a bed.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Is this where he got stuck in the bed?
This was a guard room where there were some
Yeah.
goblins.
Ah, yes.
Wasn't that in the mines?
That's what I thought.
That
No.
was not where that was. Not that.
Tripping
this was
over a
the-
bed
the
was
main
elsewhere, I think. But
entryway.
Where he tripped over the bed.
There was a hidden
Here,
a hidden
this is what I'm talking about.
cache in the fountain.
Yeah.
previously.
It was. I knew it was water.
Mm-hmm. This is basically half storage, half bedding. There's a small like family crypt here, with skeletons that came to life and attacked you. This was a small jail where some of the townspeople were being held.
Right.
That was just another
memories.
storage room, and then this was a hallway that had a pit that you all avoided. At least that's what it was all last time you were here.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on how much of that information Pernell and Elias managed to relay or feel
shared
like
just
relaying.
kind of basic, like, I mean.
It was probably on the way here.
Yeah, flipping through her
Yeah.
journal that she's.
Yeah.
Rundown of like, here's
So
what we did
then-
last time.
Yeah, does any of that sound interesting to Darlton, I guess is the question.
Yeah.
No, I think we're good.
We're good. Okay.
Unless, I mean, I don't know. I
There's
don't
not
suppose
gonna-
if you guys
there's
know
very
where
likely
his
not gonna
body
be-
ended up after you killed him first time.
What's that?
You just left him against the side of the building.
That's
sort
what I
of-
thought. I was like, we just kind of left him outside, I
I
think.
had left him to the people
Note to
here.
self: next time we kill somebody, clean up after our own mess, maybe. And
ourselves next time.
There's likely not going to be anything related to him. If you wanted to find out any more about what's been going on, you might run into more people and or things in these other chambers. But what you want to search for, discover, come back later and do is up to you.
That feels
But-
like a reconvene, maybe come back later.
Yes.
Most likely, if you were to explore further, you would not be able to avoid detection,
well, yeah, that's
and you would likely encounter unfriendly, very suspicious people.
Yeah.
High level.
Now we'll get
High
out of here.
level. Yeah. Huh.
Potentially.
Please don't piss off Vesterogna with half the party. Please.
That seems like a really bad
Yeah.
idea.
Hey, come on,
Well,
they
we're at
just
least like politically high level.
monsters. We'll be
I mean-
fine.
You've only interfered in the affairs and possessions of two of the Cerberus.
Yes, certainly.
It's not like Elias has a track record with pissing off politicians.
Slowly collecting Cerberus Assembly members that are going to be annoyed at us.
I don't know how many of them still have a grudge against me.
I'll find out.
There's nothing
They
else
are
that
both-
we are going to immediately investigate here.
Hmm.
I feel like that is at least as good of a breaking
Yeah.
point as any, because it is. I did make
Quietly
it past
make
11,
our
but
way
I'm
back out.
definitely tired now.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Go sleep.
So yeah, if you guys, since I'm not there anyways, you can fill me in. John can. I don't know if John's gonna stay on or whatever.
We can figure out filling you in. No worries.
Yeah.
I'm like Leah's not there, so she'll need to be filled in eventually.
All good.
I'll let you know.
Yep.
Night, Bess.
Night.
Night.
Okay, so as the Tresendar Manor hideout team begin sort of filtering their way through that thin small cave, leaving, we swap back to Keegan, Wuria, and Velis. Now, was the initial plan to go invisible by air and just look at things?
Yes.
Yes.
That was step one. We
one.
want to do a couple of circuits around and get the lay of the land and see what we can see from, I think, a low aerial.
Yeah,
Mhm.
high enough that we're not going to be like hitting anything, low enough that we can see shit.
Okay.
Wuria's also going to send Brightwing towards the mine and ask him to check in every, I don't know, half hour or so, unless he sees something super interesting. And
So
tell him
sound
to get out of
interesting.
sight.
Oh god, we're all gonna die.
Well, there's not just the option
What's the range on that? Because the mine is like more than 20 miles away.
Has the warlock thing that lets her talk to him and hear and talk through him as long as they're in the same plane.
Okay, so plenty of distance.
She can do it anywhere.
Okay. So he heads
He's saying
off.
then he flies into the Shadowfell.
Yeah, if he goes to another plane, then she's gonna be like, "Well, fuck, he went to another
Right.
plane or died. I'm not quite sure."
Or died.
Okay. So he flies off because you've been to the mine, he knows where the mine is and he can fly directly there. Because he's actually flying, it's probably what would normally take like a full day's trek through the mountains. He can probably go straight there in a half day.
Yeah.
But that's still like 5-6 hours of him.
Yeah,
flying.
she's just sending him to start scouting because she figures they're not going to be able to do that anytime soon. So she might as well gather some information. She'll get any information from Velis about like what to look for like empire, any sort of empire indicators.
Sure.
And she'll also describe like Gundren, and just sort of ask him to let her know what if he sees anything indicating the Empire, if he sees Gundren, which he doesn't expect but might as well check, and if he can get a sense of like what they're doing, like what's going on there, right? And if there's anything that's like, oh god, if
maybe like
woo,
how guarded the path is as well.
How guarded the path is, and again, she's going to check in with him fairly regularly. You know, she's going to check in, but
okay.
How guarded the path is, how are they moving stuff back and forth? What does that stuff look like? You know, stuff like that.
Right. Okay, so he's going to basically, it's not going to be a litany of things a la Bertrand Bell. Of like, I am turning left, I'm going left. He knows more than that. That game has long since lost interest for it. But initially, he says that there are, it looks like there's people taking wagons up the road in the direction of the mine. The wagons look like they're filled with people and barrels and boxes and other things. It looks like there's a couple of people who have weapons and armor that are going with them, but they're not very fancy dressed. They're they're dirty and nondescript. And all of the people who are in the wagons are also dirty and nondescript, and they all look very sad, or at least dejected.
Okay.
What they need is some murder.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
Your response. You're not entirely incorrect, but let's save the murder for now until we know a bit more, okay?
They're no fun, but okay.
I don't want you to just die because you attempt murder.
Okay. So other than an occasional report of various interesting things that aren't really related to anything that you were looking for, it's we'll come back in a couple of hours with anything of note. Okay, so a low pass over the town first. What you immediately suss out is that they have set up multiple furnaces and smelting areas to handle ore. It looks like they've got a couple of different places where they're doing it. You can tell from the wagons that got there this morning that they're it looks like they're sorting ore into like what might be different types, piles and such. There are a number of plainclothes, armed and armored mercenaries kind of overseeing everything, and it looks like a lot of plainclothes folks are doing all of the labor. it appears as if the Stonehill Inn is used as some kind of headquarters. It's been a long time since you've been here, so it's hard to really recognize many folks. Actually, Hegan would probably recognize more townsfolk than the lot of you, because he spent more time in Phandalin. And so far, you haven't seen anyone that you've recognized. There are a lot of folks here. Some of them even wearing very, like, they look like they might be wearing finer clothing that's just been worn and dirtied. But based on the fashion, it doesn't seem like they're from around here. It looks more like these might be people from Nicodranus. The Lion Shield Coster, which is sort of like one of the big general stores that was on the town square, that looks to be almost like a where a lot of the mercenaries are coming and going. It looks like that might be where they're doing or holding materials and supplies, weapons and armor, and like they've kind of made use of the blacksmithy. A lot of the homes look like they have been either abandoned or taken over. There's a number of new buildings that went up that look like they were pretty quickly constructed to house folks in very basic conditions. So people aren't necessarily being quartered like slaves, but they're definitely being used as laborers. There isn't really, this is not a town that's going about its normal business. The only people here who are out and about on their own look like armed mercenaries.
I'm just leaning very
Every
quickly to Weary in.
Yeah.
Well, that's a way in if we need to talk to anyone. Easy enough to pose as mercenary looking for work.
Everyone else that looks like townsfolk are either working as part of crews or under the supervision of like guards or something like that. There are occasionally you see glimpses of people who are, they look a little bit more well groomed, and their uniform they look more like they're wearing not exactly a uniform, but like the equivalent of fantasy fatigues and like a black tank or something like that. They vaguely similar to the folks that you encountered at the Halfway Inn, but
okay,
no insignia or anything else visible.
Do they give that same like gravekeeper vibe?
Oh yeah. They're a little bit more disciplined in appearance and demeanor, and they kind of keep to themselves and they don't interact much with either the townsfolk or the mercenaries.
I wonder if any of the mercenaries would even recognize if we pretended to be mercenaries and they just hadn't met us yet.
I don't know. But I do know that there are a few people that I would really like to bury a dagger in right now.
This is
unpleasant. While
this is going too far.
They tend to skew human. You haven't seen a halfling or a dragonborn among them. There are a couple of elves though. So
Velis would be more likely to blend in. The Hegan
then
and
you're
I
a
would
Hegan, yeah.
Be weird. Okay. I mean, are there is everyone skewing human, or is it just the mercenaries?
The mercenaries.
Okay.
Other than that, it's the Nicodranus is pretty cosmopolitan, and so a lot of the folks are a wide spectrum of sizes, shapes, and colors. But the mercenaries all they lean toward human, half elf, half orc. Not many halflings. No halflings that you've seen going around. No dragonborn. There's some dwarves, but halflings and I say just halflings and dragonborns would stick out because you specifically didn't see any of those among.
I know you said that the houses were abandoned. Can I just tap Wiria and kind of guide the broom toward Darren's home and see, just confirm?
Yeah, I mean, I assume we'd be specifically heading over there one way or the other.
Eventually.
So, yeah.
As you get close, you can see that the orchard has not been well tended, and it's overgrown. You can see, I believe, there's actually, I think you set fire to one of the trees back in the day, and so that one tree is still burned. But it looks like it's been largely abandoned, or at least not well kept. There doesn't seem to be anyone that has recently done anything on the exterior. The door is kind of hanging open a little bit. It's not off its hinges, but it's open. But that is like making a couple of lazy passes through the town, kind of getting just close enough to kind of overhear snippets of conversation, without going into any one particular locale.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're starting with the Etternath Orchard, it's abandoned.
What?
And you don't see anyone.
Link! Hey, thank you so much for the raid.
I don't
Hi,
hate
Captain Kitty
trying to
Games.
slip into
Welcome.
the
Hey, Tackle
inn
Thunder.
or the
Good to see you.
coffer invisible.
We just let the party
We'll have
set.
to be careful, yeah.
Well, welcome
The
to
door.
D&D.
I don't know about both of us, but
How y'all doing? How is the stream?
I mean, I might not have a way to poof out like Keegan, but I'm quick. Worst
Okay.
comes to
Laughing Crow,
worst.
good to see you.
What do you think?
It's an option.
Do you want to go to the inn or to the coster?
I think we're talking.
Yeah, I think we're talking.
It's an option. You're quick. I'm small. One of us can sneak around pretty easily. Do we?
Allow me to do this quickly.
She looks sort of down at the orchard. Did you want to look inside or here or?
Oh, I think this is enough.
Fair enough. What about DM? What are the roofs like here? Like, could we land on a roof at the inn or the coster and do some listening and
awesome.
snooping before we go in anywhere?
Some of the
What were they up
the
to?
roofs are thatched roofs. Some of them are like wood shingles and plates.
There a mission today, or was there
Specifically,
was it
the coster has a lot of thatched roofing, but the Stonehill Inn is probably the largest, sturdiest structure. It's multi-level as well. One of the few in the town. It's got a couple of second floor windows as well.
So maybe a good place to start. Why don't we
start at the coster if it's thatched, because we could probably hear in there better.
Okay.
So just like, yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, if we're talking thatch, is this we want to hover above it and listen, or is this can we land on it and not cause a disaster? I'm not familiar enough with actual thatched roofs to make an assessment of
Next
that
week is the
situation.
final episode. Oh damn! Exciting. Hopefully that goes super well. Hopefully it's been great.
You're looking at the general state of most of the town. Nothing's been really well kept, so
probably
hover, hover and listen.
Okay, so yeah, we'll hover.
Tell me while I'm being a bit
over the coster,
caffeine
and we can even
and
hover
sugar
around the coster as long as we stay out of, going to be hit by somebody, and just listen.
Always split the party when you got
see
plenty
if
of
we can
objectives to do,
what we
right?
can pick up about what's going on.
We did our
here.
stuff. We learned shit. Got some info for next session. And we can all reconvene.
Okay. So you're going to the Costa first?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And I'm not a
so
big
this
character
is-
in this, so I don't have to do any of that shit.
All right.
Thank
So you're getting
goodness.
in close to kind of inspect. So this is definitely some
I'm a
kind
Dex
of
tank, and I love it.
blacksmith forge area.
Eventually, some of you will see
workshop.
this character that I'm playing here in
and you can
VR.
see there's
because I
been
have the model
kind
for
of
her.
a-
She just hasn't come into
a
Metaverse yet.
ramshackle addition made to part of this the side, like almost like a small
Well, say
barn.
alternative version of her.
And from what you can see, it looks like there are some large silhouettes inside.
I will eventually bring her into Metaverse or something.
They
similar
look
to
like
Metaverse.
large constructs that are kind of being worked on, cleaned, maintained, two sort of large hulking construct physical shape type things. There are a number of people here who are mending equipment, swords, tools, all of that. There isn't really anyone that you recognize, though. Lots
Is there
of
any
strangers.
conversation?
So there's the general conversations are it's a shit job, it's shit pay, nobody likes what they're doing, but you know, it's better than actually having to fight anyone. And so far, all of the people that they brought into work haven't really put up a fight. So
Okay.
But in general, it's kind of day-to-day routine, mundane conversations amongst any of these folks. Most of the gravekeepers seem to be the ones that you've seen are in and around the Stonehill Inn. Looks like that's
Okay.
where most of them are holed up there. There's an occasional reference to them being kind of uppity ups, looking down their noses at the rest of them.
So, how far are we into invisibility at this point?
I would say you're probably in the last quarter to a third of it. Easy.
Okay.
I'd say before we check the inn, we should land outside of town, recast. Fuck it. And when we do that, right before we head back in, I'll pop detect magic. So land, detect magic, invisibility. That way I don't drop it.
And maybe if we're going to the inn where the gravekeepers seem to be, Hegan, if you want to pass without a trace for that, or you'd have to de-weasel for that and then re-weasel.
Yeah.
So as long as you're okay with
cast re-weasel?
Yeah, right? De-weasel, cast re-weasel.
Because that seems like the most risky place, possibly a very useful place to go, but also the most risky.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so we do that. Let me mark off the spell slot.
Okay. So there's plenty of out of the way places where you can quickly re-up your spells. How are you approaching the inn?
I mean, from the air?
So you're approaching from the air. What is your goal? Are you trying to get in? Are you trying to?
I mean, I think I was thinking, and Kristen, if you disagree, I was thinking we'd if that's an actual like roof, we'd land on the roof, we'd do a little reconnoitering, we'd see about those second floor windows you mentioned, see if there's a way in that maybe isn't the door.
Yeah.
And if not, we can regroup and decide if we want to take the risk of sending someone in the door.
Well, none of the windows are open on the second floor. There's basically there's 3 rooms up on the top floor, and all of the windows to them are closed.
Can we see in them?
Yeah. One of them's got curtains drawn, but the other 2, coincidentally enough, would be the one that Velis drunkenly stumbled into, and then the room next to it. Which was actually his room. His actual room are the 2 rooms that are visible. It looks like they are. There's been a number of like extra beds and bunks put in, and there's a number of and they're kind of like, they look like they've been lived in for a bit. Lots of clothes and stuff, and various detritus from people living there. But at first glance, it looks like this might be where the gravekeepers have been bunking. Is in the inn itself.
Okay. I want to
You learning
see
shit?
if it looks like the general traffic to and I guess I would have been watching this on the way up as well. But if the general traffic in and out of the inn seems like it's exclusively gravekeeper.
There's occasionally like a mercenary or 2 that go in or out, but it doesn't look like there's gravekeepers that are out and about doing any work in the town.
So the only traffic coming in and out is mercenaries.
Right.
Okay.
Occasionally, like there'd be a laborer that looks like they might be like carrying something from one place to another.
I think I want to post up by the door, see what I can hear when they come in and out.
All right.
If that's okay with you.
It is. My only concern is once we separate.
Meet back at our camp from earlier. It's the easiest way, right? There's nowhere safe in town.
Are there any areas that are kind of quiet that are closer than our camp, which is a fairly significant hike away? Like just spots that are sort of enough out of the way that.
Orchard?
Actually, the orchard might be the closest place. It looked fairly abandoned.
I mean, yeah. I mean, because Weria, while having total faith in Velis, is really, really, really uncomfortable with the idea of leaving Velis here invisible with no way to re-invisible himself and no backup at all.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, she's
amazing.
She's like, I
not dead yet.
I trust you, Velis, but we don't know where the rest. We don't know what the rest of the group has found, and I really don't like the idea of leaving you solo with no way to get any help.
I just know what they're doing here. Their
All right.
ties to the
Well,
Tsar.
how about this? I'll land on the roof. You can post up by the door. I will come down and pick you up before with enough time before invisibility would end.
All right.
And if we can see what you hear, and maybe I can also sort of keep an eye around one of those windows that we can see in.
Just kind of lean over and look at the door. It's like a stone building, right?
It's got like stone foundations, and there's like flagstones that kind of go up a certain way, but most of the construction is wood.
So, third flagstone to the left of the door. That's where I'll stand.
All right.
Wish me luck. Hop down.
And while Velis does that, Weary is going to sort of chill near one of those windows that we can see through, and just in case anyone comes in or out.
Mm-hmm.
Did I
What
see
about
anything with my detect magic?
So
In the rooms? No.
do we want Velis going off alone, or should I stay with him just in case?
I'm just standing beside the door right now.
That's why we're staying by the inn. Like, if something happens, we will be able to know.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to pocket chipmunk with Velis, that's up to you and Velis. But then Weary is
we
off
had
by
talked
herself.
about Hegan going back to Weasel again.
Yeah, well, you
But
have to be.
I don't.
You have to be to go on the broom.
Yeah.
But if you guys are like, we're not on the broom right now.
You
we
are.
We were on the broom to come into the
But,
sit town.
but you guys are separated to look at different windows. So, not on the broom anymore.
Well, one of us is on the broom. Weary is still on the broom.
Gotcha.
The point is, you don't have to be on the broom. If you want to get off the broom, you
That's
can get
what I'm
off.
trying to verify. I'm like, he wouldn't
Yeah.
stay on the broom because there's really nothing he can do on the broom.
Because
so
you
I
have
would
to
say,
be a weasel.
yeah. So
I mean, you
most
kind
likely he would just go down with Velis.
If you unweasel, you also will not be able to fly out of town.
Yeah, you really can't unweasel.
Yeah.
So there's nothing for me to do then. I have to stay as a weasel on the broom and do nothing. So
or you can weasel on with Velis.
He can also get out of weasel form and just be invisible with Velis if he wants to.
like, that's what
there's no
I'm
reason he
just-
has to stay as a weasel. If
Yeah.
he's getting off the broom, he's getting off the broom.
I think the main concern that I had that I just didn't know if it was like clear was if Hegan unweasels, then when it's time to get out of town, we can't
fly
carry
out
the broom. Yeah, we can't fly out.
If only there was some magical means of Hegan from being able to get from point A to point B.
Right. Also, he doesn't have to unweasel. He can go with Velis without doing that. I was just saying he doesn't have to stay on the broom because he can't do anything on the broom at all.
No, that's fine. You can like sit on my shoulder. I will not complain.
My point was that if shit goes down and he has to unweasel, he can't do that on the broom.
I see. I understand.
I was just saying you can be either on the broom or with Velis.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like
That's what I was saying.
he would go with Velis.
Yes.
Okay. So where is by herself?
I have a shoulder
Sure.
weasel.
Okay. So inside the window, now that you're down at the ground level, looking in, you can see a couple of what look to be gravekeepers. There only really seem to be a handful of them. Judging by the rooms upstairs, half a dozen at most. At least the rooms that you could see into. You do specifically recognize one of them. He is the younger, blonde hair, sort of long blonde-haired, sort of lieutenant. Along with
pretentious dick.
Yeah, the pretentious dick. Along with the very, very large and very, very well-muscled female half-orc.
I liked her.
She has both the same expression on her face as well as the same general pose. She's kind of like standing within reach of the guy, without it looking too obvious.
Where's his name?
Kaelin Radcliffe. He also has like 2 or 3 middle names because he's one of those.
Hey, I have 2 middle names.
Specifically, his full name and title is Sir Kaelin Astor Merowyn Radcliffe. Of the Rex
That is
syndrome.
not the
Radcliffe.
name that I had written down. Okay.
Yeah, and he looks like he's, enjoying a drink, enjoying a game of cards with a couple of the other people in there. Looking in, you do see a few faces that you recognize. One or two townsfolk that like I vaguely remember seeing them before, but you also specifically see Perry, the innkeeper, or one half of the innkeeping team. Toblin and Periwinkle were young married couple who ran the inn. No sign of Toblin, but Perry seems to be running the place. She looks exhausted. Not particularly pleased at what she's doing or where she's at. At least that's your quick surmise of the situation. That she seems to be filling her previous role.
I'm listening at the door. Do I hear him talking about anything or any
He's on the
conversation?
other side of, so he's nearer the bar, which is the opposite side of the tavern room from where you're at, and there's other people talking. So other than just occasionally hearing him, like his voice raise up above others as he's like laughing or something like that, you can't hear his conversation. Not from outside the inn.
I really, really want to go in, but Weary would kill me.
Where you would actually murder you.
I want to be able to hear.
There are occasionally people coming and going. Not frequently, but frequently enough that you could pop in.
Yeah, I want to. Because otherwise, we're not getting anything useful out of this.
I can go in.
Gotta take chances to win.
I know Velas. He's gonna fucking do it, regardless of what Weary
Yep.
thinks. He's going to do it. I'm sorry. I know my boy.
It's fine. He will go with him.
I will
Right.
time it for when someone goes in to slip behind them.
Go ahead and make a dexterity check.
You.
I'd say acrobatics. You get add proficiency if you like.
Oh, cool. So that's 21.
Okay, yeah. You're like ghosting in behind them, Vax style in Legend of Vox Machina. I'm assuming that Hegan, you're still weasel form on the shoulder.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just give him a little pat by way of sorry.
So you slip inside, and the place looks a little worse for wear. It doesn't look like it's been maintained to the condition it used to. The handful of gravekeeper soldiers who are in here don't seem to care much way one or the other. The mood is relaxed, and where are you going to sort of post up? There's a number of tables that are empty. Other than the gravekeepers, there's no one else actually sitting down here. So there's quite a lot of room in the tavern area.
Is my detect magic pinging anything on any of them?
When did you cast detect magic?
When we were. So I cast it right before Weary cast invisibility, so that when we got up here, I would have it for the maximum time.
Gotcha. Okay. So you'd have a couple of minutes left on it. You're picking up a couple of enchantments on Radcliffe. He's got a couple of magic things on him. The half-orc woman who's kind of keeping an eye on things, it looks like she's got a couple of auras on her.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you're not picking up on anything else.
Okay. I just want to get close enough to hear some of the conversation at the bar while kind of skirting around where there are actually people.
Sure. All right. So you get a little bit closer. Go ahead and make a dexterity stealth check with advantage because you're invisible.
Plus 10?
Yeah, he can cast Pass with a Trace, right?
Yeah. 44.
Cool.
Okay.
I rolled a 19.
All right.
Plus 25.
Right. So you very quietly and stealthily advance your way to get close enough to listen into the conversation. And after a few minutes, it's mostly just banal bullshit. It seems like he so without narrating in character conversation, after a couple of minutes, basically they're here, they have an easy job, they haven't had to run into, I mean, they haven't had to muck with the undead in a very long time. And dealing with a bunch of living folk seems to be a lot easier than dealing with a bunch of dead folk. And they're not even really actual deserters because they're still technically working for the Empire, even though they're not at all working within their chain of command, and they're solely working at the behest of the Cerberus Assembly. But nobody seems to be minding the very safe and cushy position they've found themselves in. And so far, nobody's really given them much trouble. A lot of conversations kind of going on. You can gather that people are being sent in from Nicodranus, people who are captured or prisoners or whomever is convenient to get out of the city. They're sent up here to work the mines. A couple of the townsfolk are still like in town doing town things. Perry's, for example, for one of them. You do eventually catch a snippet of conversation as it turns towards there's mention of it's sort of like an not exactly an argument, but either supplies are going missing or some of the mercenaries have started stealing. But
Oh god, I cannot write fast enough.
It's begun to happen a little bit too frequently for it to be coincidence. And they still haven't been able to track down Yulia. She is still in the wind.
Okay. 2 seconds. Still just making sure I get all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yulia was.
She was the one.
Mr. Gravekeeper.
She was the one whose room I broke into.
I wanted to make
The
sure
one
I was
with
remembering
the
who she was correctly.
the not mimic.
Yeah.
That was the one with the not mimic, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it was a construct.
Mm-hmm.
Homunculus kind of thing. It was the chest that put up its dukes to fight Velas.
I remember the chest, but I just
It was an animated chest. It was basically her familiar for all intents and purposes.
So the workers are people that it was convenient to get them out of the way.
Right. Or they were the people who lived here in town. The population swelled just a little bit after the rock seekers began opening up the mine, and like money started coming to the town, and so did people and workers. It was just super convenient because the assembly, once they had heard what the mine was producing, it was particularly of interest to them.
So let me just make sure that I wrote down the important things.
Sure.
Just because there was a lot of stuff and I was writing slower than you were talking.
Mm-hmm.
So they're working directly for the assembly and abandoned their chain of command. Supplies went missing, or the mercenaries are stealing, don't know which. Yulia's still missing, and the workers are either townspeople or people that were abducted from Nicodranus.
Yep.
Was there anything else that I missed?
There's some conversation and some speculation as to like what's so special about this ore that's got the assembly all hot and bothered.
Okay.
But nobody in particular knows. There's actually a reference to Yulia would probably have the answer, but
okay.
But she took off and with most of the most of the smarts from the team.
Most of the brain.
Yeah.
Ah, she had the brain cell. Ah, she forgot to give it back.
Oh, she specifically stole it.
She stole it.
Mhm.
All right, that sounds like enough information. So I'm gonna swing back to the door, wait again, and pop out behind
Okay.
someone to post back up.
While
where we're
all that is happening inside the inn,
Bloop.
timing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. I got a notification that my son's pretty much gone through most of his hotspot allowance on his phone, which is strange because he shouldn't even need it. Okay, so where are you? It's quiet, and you're waiting. You're occasionally hearing notes and stuff from Brightwing, as far as like things that are of interest. At one point, you're just kind of like sitting. You're a little on edge, when you hear like just bursting into your sense of perception. Holy motherfucking shut us, dragon!
What was that?
Dragon. That's a dragon.
Oh. Stay away from the dragon. What color is it?
Green.
Oh, it's that guy.
Okay. Yeah. Stay away from the dragon. Is it just there? Is it doing some?
He goes to explain that he was just sort of flying when he saw it kind of emerge from the forest, going off in a different direction. But it startled him. He was not expecting to see a dragon. And seeing as how he is the only thing flying in the general vicinity, he was mildly alarmed. And so as this conversation is going on, it's probably about when he wraps that up, that with your ridiculously high passive perception, you notice there's a figure walking down the road from the manor. You were kind of talking with Brightwing, so you didn't notice her at first, but she stands out from the rest of the people that you've seen in town. She seems to be very finely dressed, in high quality, loose fitting robes, clothing, female half elf. And she seems to be walking with purpose from the manor towards the inn.
Okay. How long will it take her for her to sort of get to the inn?
You're probably guessing about 30 seconds.
Okay. Wiria is going to fly to where she thinks Velis is.
Okay. You fly down. Velis isn't there.
Wiria is going to swear at her headed halfling and make a mental note to, like, she's not even going to slap Velis because that won't hurt him. She is actually going to hurt him.
Vicious mockeries all around.
Yeah.
She
vicious mockery him.
is going to try to take a position where she can see this woman going in, but is so she just looks like a finely dressed half elf woman.
Finely dressed half elf woman, who has sort of an air of command and import about her. And your wisdom and insight tell you that this person is someone of importance.
Yeah, she's not doesn't have the highest insight, but that's not pretty obvious.
Right.
Okay, she's going to try to take a position where she absolutely would not, like, in any way intersect with this woman, but she can.
Where are you?
So I'd flown down to where Velis was. I was still on the broom, so probably go up and sort of like hang out at the very edge of the roof or something up above it.
Okay. Okay. So you see this woman. She seems to be making a straight line towards the inn. And she goes to open the door. She opens the door, and just as she's about to step inside, you can hear just this faint, high-pitched ringing sound, almost like a tuning fork or something going off. And that's when she stops mid-step, partway into the inn.
Okay.
Velis, you're in with Hegan on your shoulder, and you're kind of listening to the conversation. You've probably got about, say, 10 minutes left on the invisibility spell. When the door opens, and someone that you never in a million years would have expected to walk into the inn that you're standing in, and Archmage Lady Vesterogna steps into the doorway and stops.
Sure does.
And you can see her hand go to what looks to be like a necklace around her neck. And based on your detect magic spell, she's wearing something that's very magical around her neck. And she casts a spell. And Wuria, you recognize this. She's casting Dispel Magic.
Counter spell.
Yes.
I'm up on the fucking roof. I'm counter spell. I can fly away.
Yes.
Okay. So because it's Dispel Magic,
right, she
and
can
that's
any
less
level,
than right.
That's less than normal counter spell, yeah.
Right. So it's Counterspell is 4th level?
Counterspell's 3rd level.
3rd level. Dispel, yeah.
And so is Dispel Magic.
Both of them are 3rd level.
So that means you have to roll for it, right?
No, if it's 3rd level or below,
if it's the same, then it auto succeeds.
Yeah.
Okay. So you counter her spell, at which point you see her dive into the inn.
I'm out. Behind her.
No.
The second
she went in.
You're across the room.
No, I was
You're
waiting
not-
at the. I was gonna wait at the door for the next person to walk in.
You
out.
went closer
So she came
inside the inn to listen to the conversation.
Okay, I thought I had a chance to like post up at the door and wait for someone to.
The price of learning the information you learned was that she was going to have time to get back.
Okay.
However, her Dispel Magic to dispel the invisibility was dispelled. It was countered, something that she is incredibly familiar with, and so she has immediately gone into action mode. At which point, I'm going to need all of you to call it a night until next time.
It's okay. I have ideas. I have ideas. I have several ideas. I have several ideas.
Wuria is going to be slapping you over the head with the broom repeatedly when we get out of this.
It's okay. If I didn't do this, we wouldn't have gotten any information on this side. So you know what?
I don't dispute that, but also she's going to slap you over the head with the broom repeatedly.
That's fine. That's fine.
The point of the matter.
The principle of the thing.
Yes.
I mean, you still put yourself in a position to potentially get caught by an archmage of the Cerberus Assembly.
And if we didn't know, you would have.
Yeah.
If Wuria hadn't recognized that Dispel Magic.
Oh man, so I have questions for you before next game, Brendan.
We'll need to have a conversation.
We need to have a whole conversation.
Damn.
Guess which part of Velis's backstory I know the least about.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you know.
And how that goes.
You know, as I said.
Well, at least I'm disguised under the invisibility, except that he still kind of mostly looks like Velis.
Also, Dispel Magic would drop that too.
Yeah.
Well, it drops one target. Doesn't dispel everything at once. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the intent of the magic is to dispel the invisibility, that's what it would do.
That's fair.
But at least I'm still a weasel.
You're still a weasel.
It would take something far more than dispel magic to get rid of that, though.
So,
To make Keegan not a weasel. Oh dear. Yeah, no, I mean,
if it was a creature, it would dispel everything on it, but...
Yeah.
as I told
Oh, right. I don't have that D4 anymore.
off voice, I mean, Wiria does not disapprove of sneaking into the inn. She disapproves of him sneaking into the inn without more backup.
And like, it's just, the door is so small that slipping two people in is harder.
Sure. Sure. I mean, we absolutely could slip in at different times if that had been the plan. It's fine. That's why Wiria is gonna be pissed. Not because you snuck in, because you snuck in without fucking telling her.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna.
Well, thank you very much all for coming back to Phandalin and letting me reweave some of the new story threads.
Woo! I'm gonna send you to my friend Zab.
Oh no! Don't you dare!
What happened?
Sorry, I'm having a couple like a brief side conversation with
yes, of course,
about some things because we're gonna have to kind of figure out exactly what did Velas do for the Assembly, because that's gonna become very important next time.
It's gonna become very important.
Zab's super awesome, fellow musician like me.
That's
Fellow role
hilarious.
player.
Please don't do that. That's funny.
I'll be back tomorrow night for Higurashi no Nakakoroni. We are doing voice acting the read through. We are two more arcs left of the entire story. Super exciting.
Thank you.
Hope to see you then.
Have a good night.
So until next time, y'all stay safe, stay healthy, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Bye.
I'm a badass asexual polyhedral dice holder. I'm proud to be. I'm a flying ace and fly through outer space. Hello, sweetie. I'm a badass asexual polyhedral dice holder. I'm proud to be in whatever sitch, like singing on Twitch or playing D&D. I'm a badass asexual polyhedral dice holder. You may call me obsessive, but I just border on being a collector and being a dragon that sits atop my treasure. That's so shiny. I'm a badass asexual polyhedral dice hoarder, and my partners love me for it. I'm a natural 20 when it